The story begins with a girl kneeling on the red carpet before her father, her voice trembling as she cried. I only wanted to find my family and be loved, but I am your real daughter. That child from 18 years ago is me, Shuelina, he asked. What is your proof? Then Shuelina said to herself. Was I wishing for the impossible? I only have a little spiritual power left after losing almost all of it. But my father will surely recognize me, he said. How weak. You are not my child. Shuelina's punishment will be the spirit mirror. He was walking away with some other girl, whom he thought was his daughter, while Shuelina sat there watching everything. Another girl said, Father! Seeing this, Shuelina said, This is your fault, Azella. You stole my spiritual power, and my life. He says, My child died 18 years ago. Shuelina looks toward the mirror and said to himself softly, It's true, that child is dead. That's right, Father. I am a fake. I'm the so-called villainous Princess Shuelina. The real Princess Shuelina was abandoned at an orphanage. Due to the Imperial consort's scheme, she lived her entire life in loneliness. Her spiritual power was stolen by the fake princess, Azella, and ultimately, Shuelina met a miserable end. This is the ending of the story I read, called Princess Azella. A little orphan girl stands by the window, looking at her reflection in the glass, and speaks to herself quietly. I'm practically a baby now. I can't believe I'm in the body of Shuelina, the one who had such a tragic end. It might be because of the frequent violence and abuse I get from the orphanage director, but my original memories are almost gone now. Suddenly she recalls that Madam Director shout loudly, You pathetic little thing, you'll know what it means to go hungry tonight. She tremble with fear and think, It hurts. Now the words that Shuelina will hear when she meets her family. My daughter? You are not my child. My only little sister Azella will become my future. I refuse to accept that. Suddenly, a little girl came in and shouted loudly, Shuelina! What are you doing here? Hurry up and come with me to prepare the food if you're done cleaning. This child is Tellin. She's the orphanage director's pawn, and especially likes to torment me. Shuelina was running and said, Okay. I'm coming now. Tellin kicked it, and then caught it himself. Then Shuelina began to think, Tellin. That's strange. Why did Tellin catch me? She wouldn't do that, Tellin asked. Oops, my mistake. Are you alright? Shuelina replied. I'm fine. Then she said to herself, Is she trying to bully me again? Did she stick something on my back? Tellin said while holding her hand. Of course you're fine. Stop dawdling, and let's go to the dining room, Shuelina said. Okay. Someone was watching them from above in the dining room. Shuelina, while looking into the basket, said, Here, I'll divide the potatoes, so you do this. Tellin asked. Can you do it? Shuelina replied. Wait a minute. I can't reach. I need a chair. Tellin stepped back and asked angrily. Really? Hang on. Then Shuelina think. Yes. Now's my chance. Shuelina felt something in her pocket, and when she looked, it was a ring. Then she saw her and said to herself, This is Madam Director's ring. Only she would have a ring like this at the orphanage. If I get blamed for stealing it, I'll be beaten to death. Tellin said. Here. Now you can. Suddenly, Tellin stumbled and falls. Then Shuelina shocked and asked, Oh no! Tellin suddenly fell down. Tellin! Are you okay? Did you get hurt? Suddenly Madam Director came and asked. What is this commotion? Tellin said. Madam Director. Madam Director asked. Tellin, was this your doing? Tellin replied. Madam, I didn't do this. It was Shuelina. Shuelina tripped me. I definitely felt someone grab me. Hearing this, Shuelina said to herself. Tellin, I was the first to worry when you fell. But how can you say that? An orphan speaks. Is she blaming Shuelina after she fell by herself? She really is mean. She's always tormenting us by lying too. Tellin is a liar. Tellin bit his lip in anger. Tellin grabbed Madam Director by her clothes and said, Madam Director, you must search Shuelina's pockets. I saw something sparkling from Shuelina's pocket earlier. I'm sure it's your ring, madam. Then Madam Director shout loudly. What? Shuelina, after I've fed you, taken care of you, and raised you, how dare you steal my ring? How brazen of you, you thieving wretch! Hearing this, Shuelina suddenly took off her clothes, threw them, and shouted loudly. I haven't stolen anything. Look! I don't have anything. Tellin trembled with fear and said, That can't be. I definitely saw her stealing today. Please believe me, Madam Director. An orphan says. But Shuelina hasn't been to the Madam Director's office today, another orphan said. That's right. She was cleaning the first floor all day today. I saw her cleaning on the first floor too. Tellin is lying again. She saw him and said angrily. No, I'm not. Maybe she stole it a long time ago. Then Shuelina asked. But you just said I stole it today. Why do you keep changing your story? But that's odd. You were the only one who went to the director's office today, Tellin. Come to think of it, that's true. Madam Director stepped forward and grabbed Tellin by the arm. As he tried to free himself, the ring fell to the floor. Then Tellin saw it and thought, that can't be. I'm sure I put it in Shuelina's pocket. Then Tellin recalls that I said that. Here. Now you can. And when I had fallen, Shuelina came to me and was asking, Tellin, are you okay? Did you get hurt? So then, she had put the ring in my pocket. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. This is all Shuelina's fault. Then Madam Director kicked her and shouted loudly, You little pest! I can't believe I've raised such a thieving rat. Not only have you failed to repay me for taking care of you, but you also dared to steal from me? Tellin said, crying. I didn't do it. Madam Director raised her hand to hit her and said, You insolent little! Then suddenly, Shuelina stepped forward to save her and says, Madam Director, maybe Tellin has some kind of explanation. Madam Director asked, What? Step aside, Shuelina. Shuelina speaks. I'm sure Tellin didn't steal your belongings on purpose. Right, Tellin? Madam Director pushed Shuelina aside, grabbed Tellin, and said as she took her along. Come with me at once, Tellin says. No. Not today. How can I miss this opportunity? I'm sorry. Then Shuelina said to herself. What is she talking about? Tellin crying out. Madam. I'm sorry, Shuelina said to herself again. Come to think of it. Tellin seemed particularly anxious today. Even her dress seemed fancier than usual. Results of cleaning since early morning. It feels like I'm about to remember something. Archduke Bylot. Family members of House Bylot use a special energy called QI instead of mana. People instinctively feel fear when seeing them. And they're even called a cursed noble family. To clear their bad reputation, they take in a child from the orphanage for a short while. And today is that day. This is an opportunity for me too, if I don't want to die in the future. It's better to be under the patronage of the Archduke. Shuelina, I won't live the same way you would have. The people who abandoned you are not family. Then she said to herself, Thank goodness I got a cleaning spot near the main entrance. Now I need to make sure taking the spot near the main to meet the Archduke first was worth it. My shoulders ache. Suddenly an orphan said, Wow, it's so sparkly. Goodness gracious. That carriage is as big as our orphanage, she said. They're here. She slapped her own face, put a smile on it, and said, Let's go. Then she opened the door and asked politely, May I ask who you are? She saw them and began to say to herself, This person is Archduke Bylot. He has black hair and purple eyes, so he's definitely Archduke Bylot. Is this boy with him his son? Oh right. I should smile. Then she said, Wow, you're both so handsome. Archduke's son said, How interesting. She smiled and asked, What's your name? He says, Windy. Hearing this, she began to think, Windy, oh. Windy? Could he be Windert? He's the second male lead and future Archduke. In the original story, he becomes a villain after failing to win over Azella, and according to the original timeline, he's 11 years old, but he looks about 15. Windy speaks. This is really fascinating. Aren't you scared of me? At this point, most children would start crying and fainting from the curse. Hearing this, she said to herself, It must be due to my spiritual power. It resembles nature and protects the Imperial family. So it must also protect against the Archduke's curse. That instills fear in people. The Archduke asked, How old are you? She counting on her fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll be 7 years old soon. Then Archduke thought, So she's already 6 years old? She looks so much younger. She speaks. What's your name, mister? I need to tell the Madam Director so I don't get in trouble. Archduke said, If you mention the name Bylot, she'll know, she replied. All right, let's go together. I'll show you to Madam Director's office. This way, she said while knocking on the door. Madam Director, you have a visitor. Madam opened the door and said, Oh, my dear Shuelina. Thank you for guiding them to me, Shuelina said. This is Mr. Bylot. Archduke Bylot? Archduke says, I'm looking for a child who can stay with us for a month, she said. It's a bit shabby in here, but please wait a moment. I'll find a fitting child for you at once, Your Grace. Archduke replied. There's no need for that. We will take this child with us. Then Duke picked her up in his arms, she said while crinkling a piece of paper. What? Shuelina? But that child is… Archduke asked. Will you come home with us? Hearing this, Shuelina was shocked, smiled and asked. Yes. After a while, they got into the carriage, and Shuelina asked him softly, Your Grace, what will I do? Laundry or cleaning? Archduke gently speaks. You will be treated with utmost care in our manor. You'll eat delicious food, play comfortably, and rest well. You'll even be featured in the newspaper. Then Wendy asked. But shouldn't you have asked about that earlier? Shuelina thinks. I already knew from the original story, so I didn't ask. Wendy says. You look like you're about to collapse from exhaustion. Do you eat properly? You look so malnourished that I wonder what kind of work you could have been doing, Shuelina said. I work hard and stay healthy too. Seeing this, Archduke speaks. By the look of those arms, I think I'll need to prepare only the most delicious things for you to eat. Then Wendy smiled and said, You'll have some hard work ahead of you if you want to make her arms stronger, father. Seeing this, she thought, He's dazzling. Is this how angels smile? I'm gonna fall. When the carriage jolted slightly, Shuelina began to lose her balance, and at that moment, the Archduke caught her and asked, Are you hurt? She replied, I'm fine. Thank you, Your Grace. Then she lost in thought. That was so surprising. I didn't expect him to catch me, especially when my clothes are so dirty. He embraced me so I wouldn't get hurt, just like a father would. No! What a ridiculous thought. After a while she asked. But are you all right, Wendy? Wendy replied confidently. I'm not as weak as you. I'm training to be a knight, you know. At that moment she said to herself. Speaking of which, in the original story, he becomes the continent's best knight, doesn't he? She laughed out loud and said, You're so impressive. Wendy turned around and asked. Anyway, what happened just now? Coachman replied. My apologies. Another carriage appeared rather suddenly, so I had to avoid it. Watching the other carriage, she began to think. A noble would never fail to recognize the Archduke's carriage. Who do they think they are to almost crash into us and not apologize? Huh! Is that person crying? Then Coachman asked. Should we follow after them, Your Grace? Archduke replied angrily. It's unacceptable to drive a carriage so fast that a child could get hurt. So, Shuelina said. Excuse me, Your Grace. I'm hungry, so my stomach is growling. Let's just go. After a while the carriage stops in front of a grand white estate surrounded by roses. Archduke said, We're home now. You will be staying here for the next month. When they stepped out of the carriage, the maid standing ahead bowed respectfully and said, My lady, welcome to White Rose Manor. Seeing this, she clung tightly to the Archduke, then began to think. This is a bit much for me, Wendy says. You've all startled the child. Let's go inside. Deline is waiting, she asked. Who is Deline? Wendy replied, My younger brother. When they stood for the picture, she got scared when the camera flash went off. Then she asked, What was that? What's happening? Archduke replied, It was a camera. Suddenly cameraman bowed and says, I'm so sorry for startling you. Then she noticing the cameraman fear and began to think, what's this? It doesn't feel like he's scared because he's a commoner. It's more like he's suffering from a primal fear. So this is the curse of the Archduke's family. After a while she said, I was just surprised because it's my first time seeing one. Please take a good picture of me. Archduke says, You may go now, he said. Yes, Your Grace. When they entered, someone bowed respectfully and said, Welcome, my lady. I am Edgar, the head butler of White Rose Manor. She grabbed the Archduke by the collar. Then he asked, What is it? She replied, Please put me down. She stepped down and speak politely, bowing respectfully. Thank you. I hope we get along well. Edgar sat down and said, If you find anything uncomfortable, no matter how small, please let me know right away. She speaks. Thank you very much. Then she said to herself, It doesn't seem like he dislikes me. Suddenly someone came, saw her and said, Oh my! You're so tiny and cute. Then Archduke speaks. Ah, you're here. This is Lucy, the head maid. She will assist you with most things, so you'll see her face often. Lucy shocked and asked, Your Grace, young Master Windy, did you bring her here dressed like this in this cold weather? Then Lucy stepped forward and wrapped him in a blanket. Shuelina embarrassed and replied, Oh, these are the only clothes I have. Hearing this, Lucy smiled and asked, I prepared this because the weather is a bit chilly. But do you need something thicker? My lady, are you hungry? She replied. A little. Lucy speaks. I'll get a meal ready for you right away. And let's get you into a bath as soon as you finish eating. What kind of food do you like? Hearing this, she said to herself. I don't know much about food in this world. What if she laughs at what I choose? Archduke said. Just prepare something of the highest quality. Lucy smiling warmly and says, then I'll make sure you have a table full of tasty options. This kindness will only last for a month, so I shouldn't get used to this feeling. But my heart is already starting to soften. A shadow appears at the top of the grand staircase. Unknown voice. Is that the child? Wendy saw him and asked, Deline? Why are you out here? Then she saw him and said to herself, he must be Deline the second's son. When Deline came down, then Shuelina bowed respectfully and said, let me introduce myself properly. Hello? I'm 6 years old, and my name is Shuelina. Thank you for letting me stay here. I'm so happy. The floor is so cold. Then the Archduke lifted him up, placed him in his lap, and said, Shuelina, please stay here comfortably for the entire month. She added, oh, I'm not Shuelina. I'm Shuelina. You heard my name at the orphanage earlier, Archduke says. I thought you wanted me to call you that. Hearing this, she thinks, what a silly tongue. I'm not a baby, so why am I talking like this? Deline saw her and asked, why does she keep saying Shuelina, not Shuelina? They're both the same. Wendy smiling softly and says, it's Shuelina. Deline was surprised and asked, not being able to say your own name sounds tough. What's your nickname? Wendy speaks calmly. Deline, you should tell her your name first, he said. Oh, I'm Deline. He clapped and laughed, saying, wow, your name is so pretty. Then Deline became shy and said, well, my name is kind of pretty. At that moment, she lost in thought. What is this? Why is it so easy to deal with the people in this family? It's so unexpected. I suppose it makes sense since no one has approached them this easily because of their curse. It's a shame because they're such nice people. After a while, Deline asked, so what's your nickname? She replied, my nickname? I don't have one. Archduke asked, a nickname, huh? How about Shushu? She became shy and said to herself, Shushu. The name sounds strangely cute. I think it's great. Does the Archduke think I'm that cute? Archduke says, because you look like a choux pastry. She asked, what's a choux pastry? Archduke speaks, if you get a bit more to eat, you'll look like a soft and puffy ball of bread. So let's call you Shushu. She became happy and thought, Your Grace, bread? I'm a ball of bread. That's my first nickname? Then Deline says, you really do look like a choux pastry with those pale cheeks. Wendy stood up and speaks, you'll like it once you try one later. Father, it's probably time to check if her meal is ready, so may I go now? Archduke says, yes, she said in her mind, bread, I'm bread. Then Wendy lifted her and said, all right. Let's go, Shushu. She saw him and said in her mind, I don't feel bad that Windert seems to like me. But the people in this family are overly eager to hold me. I can walk too, you know. Deline asked. Wendy, why are you carrying her around like a package? Wendy asked. What? Look at her legs. What if Shushu gets hurt while walking? Do you really think that? Deline replied. Oh, you're right. When you're not around, I'll carry her myself. Then she thinks. You believe him? Wendy said in a stern tone. You're not strong enough yet. If you can do 1,000 diagonal sword slashes in a row, I'll let you hold her. She became worried upon hearing this and began to think, how can anyone do that? But given Windert will become a renowned knight of the Empire in the future, maybe it can be done. Deline smiled and says, 1,000 times? Fine. I'll work hard to make sure Shushu doesn't get hurt. She smiling softly and replied, all right. After a while, when they reached the dining table, Lucy came and said, oh my, you all really look like close siblings. Hearing this, she said to herself, siblings, it would have been wonderful if that were true. A family would keep me safe. My father and brothers would love me, and my life would be full of happiness. I would have lived peacefully, without fearing threats. Unlike now, when I face danger as a princess. Then she clenched her fist and speaks. It would have been nice if Windert was my real big brother, but I don't mind us meeting this way. Wendy bowed, smiled and says, my name is a bit difficult to say, so you can just call me Wendy, she said in a cheerful tone. Yes, Wendy. Then Deline shrugged his shoulders and said, I will also give you special permission to call me Del. You're not my little sister, so it's a special case. And you seem very earnest, so I'm giving you special permission. She giggles and says, Thank you, Deline. Her stomach rumbles loudly. Then Deline asked, What's that noise? Wendy bowed and asked, Shoo shoo, your face is red. Do you have a fever? Lucy was serving the dish and said, Young masters, Lady Shuelina's meal is served. She saw it and thinks, Perfect timing, Lucy. When Shuelina saw different kinds of food, she was amazed. Then she speaks, I've never had any of these before, but I can't eat all of this. Wendy, gesturing, said, All food is the same anyway. Oh, this is a choux pastry. She picked it up, started looking at it, and then asked, Do I really work like this? Delian replied, Absolutely. Wendy replied, It's a perfect match. She takes a bite, and a tear brews in her eyes. Then she thinks, Seriously, how pitiful has your life been, Shuelina? She said, This is incredible. Thank you, everyone. At that moment she said in her mind, From now on, I'll only eat delicious things like this. I'll make sure to do everything Shuelina couldn't do before. Suddenly she put her hands over her mouth. Seeing this, Wendy stood up and said, Shoo shoo. Then Deline asked, Shoo shoo, what's wrong? Lucy came and said, Oh no, my lady. She thinks, It hurts. Oh no, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Lucy quickly took her to the side, and she vomited into the bucket. Then Lucy said, Don't hold it in. Please let it out, my lady. Wendy says, Shoo shoo, shoo shoo. Lucy said, My lady, wake up. She goes to the spirit world. She walks while thinking. That deep and heavy voice. It sounds like a man's. I know this place. A young Shuelina was sitting unconscious beside a tree. A sound was heard. Only you can wake me. The inside of the spirit mirror. The sealed spirit world. When she wake up and says, My head hurts so much. Lucy said, My lady, she asked. Where am I? She glances around. She's lying in a large canopy bed draped in soft linen. Then she think, I'm in a bed? Archduke asked. So is she fine now that she's awake? She asked. Are they worried about me? Deline asked. Shoo shoo, are you all right? Their faces hover over her with concern. For the first time, she feels warmth instead of loneliness. Then she said in her mind, They're gazing at me with concern. I don't feel lonely when I wake up now. She blinks slowly, still dazed. I'm not really sure how to react. Everything is so new. Baden bowed respectfully and asked, My lady, I am Baden, the family doctor of House Bylot. Do you feel any other kind of discomfort? You may answer slowly, so please take your time. My lady, what did you usually eat at the orphanage? Have you ever had food like what you ate today? She replied, Cabbage soup and potatoes mostly. Baden added, I see. It seems the issue was consuming nutrient-dense foods so suddenly. Not to mention, cream isn't very good for the stomach. Hearing this, she thinks, But it was delicious, Baden said. For now, you should only consume light foods and the medicine I prescribe. She thinking, It's terrible that the orphanage ruined my body so much that I'm being deprived of delicious food. They should all be shut down. After a while, Archduke asked, Do you feel pain anywhere else? Then Deline said, You've been unconscious for nearly 2 days, and you just woke up. We were all extremely worried. She sat silently and said in her mind, They were worried about me. But why? Because they brought me here and I collapsed? But besides that, she notices something. Everyone seems to be keeping a careful distance. Seeing this, she said in her mind again, Why is everyone staying so far away from me? Wendy has been avoiding eye contact with me this whole time, and what is this smell? Is it me? Vomit during a meal, 2 days unconscious, not being able to bathe, filthy. Ah! The bed will get dirty. She jumps up suddenly. Then she said, I'm very dirty right now. Wendy speaks. Wait. Don't move so quickly. You can get up slowly and take a bath, Archduke firmly said. Lucy replied, Yes, Your Grace. Archduke says, Take Shuelina and help her bathe. And since she's a child. Seeing this, she thinking, What are they talking about? The Archduke's expression is so gloomy. What do I have to do to be loved in a situation like this? She gets ready for a bath. She sits in front of the mirror, lost in thought. It's so cozy. After a while, Lucy asked, You ought to be eating only delicious foods right now. Are you feeling a bit better, my lady? Shuelina replied, Oh, yes, actually, my head still hurts a bit. Then she thinks, I don't want to trouble anyone, but I can't lie to Lucy's face. Lucy smiled and said, His Grace has instructed that your opinions are to be taken into consideration. His Grace mentioned that you are a kind child, who carefully observes your surroundings and endures hardships well. Then Shuelina thinks again. I thought he was angry earlier because his expression was so dark. But he told her that. He noticed that I'd been on edge and nervous. My stomach feels a little queasy. Lucy speaks. My lady, are you not afraid of the Archduke or the young masters? Do you feel any numbness, or experience any trembling? Although it's a sensitive topic, the family members of House Bylot have extraordinary energy. Everyone fears them because of that energy. The young masters are also concerned that you might have gotten sick from being too close to them. Lucy brushes Shuelina's hair tenderly. After a while, Shuelina lost in thought. The family doctor must have explained it differently. But it's understandable for them to think that way, considering their family history. They've been cursed to have people keep their distance. They must have suffered a lot to have such concerns about me. Then she said in her mind, I don't believe that's true. In fact, everyone's been incredibly kind to me. I'm so grateful that I wish I could run to them and clear up any misunderstandings right away. But I'm worried they might think I'm being rude. Lucy smiled and said, That's such a relief. When the door opened, there was a beautiful room filled with countless varieties of clothes. Then Shuelina saw it, and said, Oh my goodness! There are so many clothes, Lucy said. Do you like them? His Grace prepared these clothes for you. Please go around and pick out what you'd like to wear. Shuelina says, I want to wear this one. Lucy speaks. Do you like this dress? I'll help you change into it. We haven't had much time, so these are all ready-made options for now. But we'll have a tailor come to make custom clothes for you soon. His Grace has ordered that everything be prepared flawlessly, as if you were entering the Imperial palace. Hearing this, she lost in thought. The Archduke did all this, for me? Thinking back, he's respected me since our first meeting. He asked about my opinions, paid attention to even my most trivial concerns. Then she clenching her fists, and lost in thought. I really don't want misunderstandings to hurt these kind-hearted people. She suddenly starts running. Lucy said, My lady, please listen to what I have to say. She sprints through the hallway, her hair still damp. She reached the Archduke's room. Wendy saw her and said, Shoo shoo? Tears gather in her eyes. She bowed her head and says, I don't like that Wendy is avoiding me. Earlier, he kept avoiding my eyes, and that hurt my feelings. I like your Grace, Wendy, Deline, and Lucy too. I like this place and everyone here. It feels like heaven compared to the orphanage. She clenches her tiny fists. Everyone there didn't care about Shuelina. They said I was a dirty orphan. They hated me. Nobody liked me at all. At the orphanage, Shuelina was unworthy of love. I was an unnecessary child. Her voice breaks. The Archduke's eyes soften. For the first time in my life, I've met so many kind people. You hug me and hold my hand without hesitating. So I'm very happy. Then she lost in thought. Now I understand why I felt so concerned when I was with them. They were just like me, alone in this world. Shuelina was rejected by her family, and the Archduke's family was isolated by a curse. Tears spill freely. She speaks. Why are you all avoiding me? It makes me sad if you avoid me now. Archduke stepped forward and hugged her. Please don't avoid me. Please don't hate me. Her sobs echo softly. Wendy said, You are not a dirty orphan. He gently wipes the tears from Shuelina's cheeks. In this place, you are my little sister. Archduke picked this up and said, It hasn't been long since you woke up. You must be exhausted after crying so much. Your eyes are as red as a rabbit's. Shuelina sniffles and nods shyly. Go to your room and rest. I'll come to feed you some salop. She replied, Yes, Your Grace. She came into her room, was very happy, and then said, Look at this. Your Grace, isn't it pivoty? She recalls that Archduke speaks. It's cute, she gasps, eyes sparkling. She thought, he said it was cute. Does he think I'm cute? This one is the cutest. It looks like you have dragon wings. I'm a dragonfly. And the weather is so nice. Dragonfly wings? Then she says, Look. I've never worn anything with these things at the bottom before. Suddenly, the Archduke arrived and, while serving the food, said, Eat shoo shoo. Before the salop gets cold. Then she thinks. He changed the subject. She replied, Yes, Your Grace. He bowed and said, Have a seat here, shoo shoo. Now open wide. He lifts a spoon. She takes a bite. Her eyes immediately widen in pain. She shouts loudly, It's so hot. She flaps her hands desperately. The Archduke panics and asks, Shoo shoo. What's wrong? Are you all right? At that moment, Lucy came and asked, Oh my! Your Grace, what's going on? she said, crying. It's so hot. He speaks. Lucy, it seems Shushu is still sick. I gave her some salep, but she spit it out. Lucy asked. My lady, are you all right? She replied. His Grace gave me the salep when it was still too hot. It burned my tongue. It hurts. Lucy smiles softly and says, What a sweet girl you are for not crying too loudly. Your Grace, you should blow on the salep before feeding her. Here's some cold water, my lady. Hold it in your mouth. He saw her and asked, Is her tongue so delicate because her body is weak? Lucy replied, Anyone would get hurt eating such hot food, Your Grace. He thinks. Wendy and Deline weren't like that, though. Deline said, It's yummy. Wendy says, Papa, you can't compare the Archduke's family's bodies to those of ordinary people. After a while, she smiled and asked, Your Grace didn't do it on purpose, so it's fine. But why did you feed me the salep so suddenly? He replied, I saw your thin legs. To grow bigger, you must eat well. Oh, that's right. Then the Archduke, showing his little finger to her, said, If you eat the salep and medicine and become healthier, I'll give you something delicious that I've never given to my other children. She asked. Really? He replied. Yes. Really. Then he extended his little finger toward Shuelina, and they made a pinky promise. On the side, the Emperor came down from the stairs. Coachman bowed respectfully and asked, Are you all right, Your Majesty? Emperor replied, I'm fine. Let's leave this place quickly. The carriage has started moving. The Emperor lost in thought. How nice it would be if she were in there. My child, my baby, my daughter. I have searched for my child for 6 years. My son, stillborn, was cremated within 3 days. Their mother Empress Herase died because she could not withstand labor due to her frail body. I only heard of it all from Elena, my imperial consort. Everyone thinks it strange for me to search for a dead child, but I firmly believe she's still alive. I clearly sense the child's spiritual power manifesting after birth. Even if it's irrational, I held on to a sliver of hope, and visited every orphanage across the country. Emperor recalls that I asked that. Lucas, what are you doing? Lucas smiled and replied, Father, I'm getting ready for when Shuelva arrives. When she gets here, I'll teach her swordsmanship, and I'll carry her every day. I hope I can see her soon, Father. My eldest, Lucas, eagerly waited for the sibling his late mother left behind. Lucas was the only one in the Imperial palace who believed his spyling was still alive, so his hopeful face gradually grew dim as the number of his gifts for his lost sibling increased. Then came Isella. She said, Father, I love you, Father. I came to give you these flowers. She is the daughter of Elena, whom I only married to make up for the weakness of Empress Hirae's noble family. I do feel sorry, but I didn't want to have a child with an imperial consort, so Isella is a daughter I can never truly love. Everyone tells me to bury the memory of my youngest, who's already dead, and focus on raising my children who are alive and well. But I can't possibly forget my lost child. I wish I could see her just once. If she hasn't been found yet, I must search more thoroughly. I will never give up on you. I will find you. Where could you be? I've never even held you in my arms. Shuelina, on the other side, Deline said, Shushu. Come here, she says. Deline. I'm here. Then she thinks, what am I, a puppy? How many times do I have to go back and forth? I'm tired. Deline pointed with his finger and said, You must be tired from all the exercise, right? Here, eat this. I'll give you 2 as a special treat, but don't tell Wendy. She speaks. It's so yummy. I really like meringue. You're the best, Deline asked. Did you see Big Brother? Shushu likes me the most. What do you even write every day, Wendy? You don't even react to me. You're no fun, she thinks. Is he recording my activities again? He was also planning a health program with the family doctor. Was my collapse really that shocking? Wendy said. All right, Shushly. Come here. Is it starting again? She says. Oh well, here I come, Deline. Shushu. I'll teach you swordsmanship, so come to me, she shouted loudly. Again? It's exhausting to be called back and forth at once like this, Deline said. All right, then I'll come to you, she speaks. Ah. Deline, if you come to me like that, Wendy asked. Delane. You're putting Shushu in danger. How could you swing your sword around without thinking first? Are you out of your mind? Deline replied. Shushu, I'm so sorry. Are you hurt? Hearing this, she thinks, he looks like a scolded puppy. Then Shuelina says, Deline, you're so cute. Deline shouted loudly. What? What part of this situation is cute? How can you tease your big brother like this? She added. But you really are cute. Archduke was looking out from the window. Suddenly the servant came, bowed respectfully and says, Your Grace, the investigation into the orphanage where Lady Shuelina was staying has been completed. Archduke speaks. Report. The children I saw were in a very emaciated state. It seems they haven't received proper nutrition, just like Lady Shuelina. And, the servant read at the paper and said, there were no children dressed appropriately for the season. And the entire orphanage was cold, except for the director's office. Given the state of the orphanage, it seems the director has embezzled a significant amount of money. If the Archduke's funds had been properly managed, it wouldn't have reached this state, even without private donations. Hearing this, Archduke lost in thought. How dare she? I can't believe someone as rational as His Grace is that angry. Could that young lady truly become part of this family? Cahill, bring Shushu here. Cahill bowed and replied, Right away, Your Grace. She opened the door and asked, Your Grace, did you call me? Then she thinks, I usually only see him during meals or tea time. What's going on? She replied, Yes, Your Grace. She thinks, What could he want? He asked. Shushu, what do you think of the orphanage? She asked. Why are you suddenly talking about that, Private? She saw him and thought, his expression is so cold. I don't think he's ever made that face in front of me. Could it be that he's going to send me back to the orphanage because he doesn't like me? But it's only been 2 weeks since I came to the Archduke's manor. Did I do something wrong? What should I do? Shuelina, you're useless. What are you? You're useless. Hurry up and think, Shuelina. I need to overcome this. Who would love someone like you? No one could love. Love? Should I offer to take more enthusiastic photos for the newspaper? Should I appeal to him emotionally since he's shown me such goodwill? Or should I emphasize my intelligence? I could offer to do whatever is asked of me. What's the wisest choice? Think, brain, think. After a while, she asked, Are you sending me back to the orphanage because I'm not needed anymore? Do I have to go back there? He worried and asked. Wait, Shuelina. What are you saying? She replied. It's Shushu. He asked again. Right, Shushu. Who said that you're not needed? Who even mentioned being needed? She replied. Well, Your Grace suddenly asked about the orphanage. He added, I apologize. I was too hasty. Let me give you this first. Baden said that your body has fully recovered. He raised his hand and said, It's the gift that I promised. Shuelina saw him and thinks, The gift? It looks just like that shoy pastry from last time. He says, It will lose its taste if it melts, so eat it soon. Shuelina speaks. It's cold. He smiled and said, It's an ice cream chook pastry. Shuelina asked. An ice cream Colix pastry? He replied. Yes, it's a Colix pastry that is frozen and eaten cold. I knew someone who liked it just as much as you would. Hearing this, Shuelina thinking, Is he thinking about the Archduchess? I heard she passed away shortly after giving birth to Deline. He speaks calmly. Shushu, just eat it. It looks like you're drooling. She took a bite and said, Thank you for the treat. It's so yummy. Thank you for giving me something so tasty. Then he asked, If you like it that much, come visit me often. I'll keep one ready. Shuelina asked, I'm not being sent back to the orphanage? Is that why you're saying you'll give me this again? He replies, Of course. I asked about the orphanage because we received some information about the director. She asked, The orphanage director? Then Shuelina started thinking, If it's about that, I know what you mean very well. This is the chance to get rid of the director who tormented me and the other children. I'm gonna tell him everything. The director is a good person. She works hard to make sure everyone has food to eat. After a while, he asked, Oh, is that so? Shuelina replies, She said that originally, great people give money to us. But such people are rare, so we have to help the director a lot. He asked again, Do children like you help her that much? Shuelina replies, Of course. We do everything very well. Sewing, laundry, cleaning, you name it. After breakfast, we clean and sew until dinner. And that lasts for about 10 hours, I think. When we work hard to make things, the director takes them to sell and buys food for us. Hearing this, he was surprised and asked, So she makes children like you work for 10 hours? I see. Did you get hit often, my little shoo-shoo? Shuelina thought. He called me his little shoo-shoo. Then she replies, yes, I was the most useless child at the orphanage. So she said I needed to learn to clean and do laundry diligently to work as a maid in a good home. Hearing this, the Archduke angrily pressed the sofa hard. Shuelina saw him stand up and said, Your Grace, please don't do that. It will hurt if you do that, so I hope you don't get hurt. Then Archduke grabbed her hand and speaks. You took the words right out of my mouth. I hope that a child with such lovely hands never has to suffer again. Suddenly she lost in thought. At that moment, I felt a pang at the tip of my nose, so I started to tear up. I mustn't cry. This emotion must belong to Shuelina, so I shouldn't let it affect me. After a while, Archduke speaks. From what you've said, the director is an utterly despicable person. However, the orphanage is an essential place for the Archduchy. Therefore, I will punish the director of the orphanage and then appoint a new one. She smiled and thinks, it worked. Now the orphanage children can be free from the director. It was just a few days ago that we talked about that. But why have things turned out like this? A gentle breeze blows. Shuelina saw it and said, Wow! There are so many people. Wendy asked firmly. Shoo, do you mind coming to the park for your first outing from the manor? Shuelina smiled and replied, Yes. I really wanted to visit the Central Park. Thank you for bringing me here. Then he speaks. It would have been nice if Wendy could have come too, but he's just so busy. We'll come with him next time, she replies. Yes. That sounds great. She sees a little girl drinking milk, as if someone had just picked her up. What drink is that? He asked. Shoo. Do you want to drink that? I'll go buy it for you, she replies. It's all white, he said. Wait here for a moment, I'll be right back. Lucy shouted loudly. You'll hurt yourself if you run so fast, young master. He's already so far away. Oh well. Wendy runs off. Shushu watches her go. Shall we go sit on a bench and wait, my lady? Meanwhile, Shuelina saw her and thinks, Madam Director, and the Imperial Consort's pawn. In the novel, the Imperial Consort is in charge of a secret organization, affiliated with the White Magic Tower. He has to be one of them. The Madam Director can't use magic, nor does she have the ability to gather information about the Archduke's family. It's obvious that the Imperial Consort used her pawn to abduct me. But why? After a while, Madam Director speaks. Shuelina, it looks like you've been doing very well, Shuelina said. I have, ma'am. But where are we? There are still 2 weeks left. Then she thinking, if the Archduke were to end his support of me, I would naturally leave his manor. But are they really willing to take such a risk? Just to kidnap me? Don't tell me, Madam Director says. Even though you're useless, it seems like you're somehow needed, since someone has been looking for you. When Mage stepped forward, Shuelina thought, if I'm somehow needed, he said, it's been too long. Shuelina thought again. Then they're trying to take my power again. You took it a month ago. She trembles. No, I don't want to feel that pain again. Then she says, help, someone please, Madam Director. Madam turned her face away. Seeing this, Shuelina thinking, the director ignored it when they siphoned my spiritual power, even when I was at the orphanage, so there's no way she would help me now. Stay calm. It's still okay. I can change the future. It's not yet time for the Imperial Consort to imprison me. Then she said, no. You did it last time, he says. It will be over soon. He took a magic tool out of their coat, and seeing it, Shuelina thought, I've consistently encountered this magic tool, both in the original novel and soon after arriving in this world. It's called a brilliant. It's Azella's secret. Even though Azella is of Imperial lineage, she has no spiritual power, so she always carried a brilliant that contained my spiritual power, and used it as if it were her own. In the novel, Shuelina is born with the spiritual power that Azella should have possessed, but I didn't steal Azella's power. If we have different mothers, and Azella was born first without any spiritual powers, why is that my fault? Why did I even read a ridiculous novel that labeled someone a villain, just for not being the protagonist? This is an absurd excuse to justify torturing me. That brilliant must not touch my body. After a while, as soon as he grabbed Shuelina, she shouted loudly, Your Grace, please help me. Your Grace, he said, just stay still. She struggles and fights, and during the scuffle, a bottle falls to the floor and shatters. Then he saw it and asked angrily, Why are you resisting? Shuelina called out, Please save me, Your Grace. At that moment, Archduke came and shouted loudly. Let go of her at once, Wendy said. Shoo shoo, Lucy says. My lady. Then Shuelina saw them and said, You really came. Mage stretched out his hand and created a protective barrier. Then Shuelina thinks, Is this protective barrier? I can't escape then. He's trying to use me as a hostage, while the mage is distracted by the Archduke. I have to do something. Then Shuelina looked back and saw the broken bottle lying there, the one he had shattered. Picked it up and struck Mage with it. Mage cried out in pain. In that very moment, Archduke attacked him with a single blow. She looks at the magic tool and, moving forward hesitantly, thinks to herself, The brilliant. Move. I have to move. Come on, body. Move. I have to destroy that brilliant. The Imperial consort, and Azella won't give up on my spiritual power that easily. If he takes that, he will definitely come back. Move, body. I need to move right now. I need to get rid of that brilliant. If I get rid of it, they won't be able to find me while they make a new one. He picked her up and asked, Shoo shoo. Are you alright? She said. No, Wingdy, we have to destroy that. Mage reached out toward him, and Deline struck him down. Then he asked, It looks like the diagonal slash practice paid off. Shoo shoo. Did you see me? Wasn't I amazing? She says. Deline, that's dangerous. Windy thick. That fool is swinging his sword around again. A magic circle appeared on the ground, and Shuelina said, Oh no. He's trying to get away. Then he looked at the magic tool in his hand and laughed, when Archduke struck his hand. The magic tool shattered, and his hand was injured. Archduke speaks calmly, Oh dear. I seem to have failed to control my strength, Deline said. Father, the bastard's dead now. We needed to ask him why he did this to Shoo Shoo, Archduke says. Don't worry, Deline. We still have someone we can question about this matter. Madame Director was quietly running when Archduke saw her and swung his sword. But the sword hit the wall, and she fell back in fear. Then he speaks. It seems like I'm having trouble controlling my strength because I'm so angry, Madame Director says. I admit my mistake. I've committed a grave sin, he said. If you've committed a grave sin, you should die. But I still have many questions. Regardless of how much you disrespect me, you will answer them, won't you? She replied. Someone like me wouldn't dare disrespect you, Your Grace. That's unfathomable, he says. No, you do disrespect me. Otherwise, you wouldn't try to harm a child under my protection, she said, Your Grace. Then Shuelina saw her and thought, That director has tormented me so much. Yet she is utterly weak in front of the Archduke. If Shuelina had a bit more power, or if she had known about her true identity sooner, would she have groveled to Shuelina too? Frightened, she clung to Windy Neck. Then he said, Shoo shoo, no one will ever be able to harm you again. She squeezes her hand. Then she thinking, It's okay now. Everyone is protecting me now. Archduke asked, Who was the man who came here with you? She replied, I cannot say, Your Grace. If I tell you that, then I really will die. Hearing this, Shuelina lost in thought. Normally, she'd be willing to betray anyone and say everything she knows by now. Is the director remaining silent out of loyalty? Archduke said. How foolish, she asked. What? Archduke says. I can't believe you assumed I'd spare your life after doing something like this. Windy, Deline watched closely. No matter how trivial it may seem at first, you must eliminate all future potential threats. Windy speaks. Father, I understand you're angry, but Shuelina is watching, Deline says. Shuelina is fragile. She'll faint again if she sees this, Archduke said. Ah, true. Windy, take Shuelina home. Give her some warm milk and let her rest. Windy reply. Yes, father. She calling out. Shuelina, wait. Shuelina, please help me. I was wrong. You love me, don't you? Shuelina. Then Shuelina asked. Your Grace, will the orphanage really change? Archduke replied. Yes. Shuelina asked. So no one will be beaten anymore? The food will improve, and no one will be put in a closet as punishment, and the child won't be scolded for not working all day, he replies. Of course. Shuelina smiled and says, Madam Director, have you ever asked anyone for help before now? I asked for your help just now too, remember? Then she lost in thought. The time for forgiveness has already passed. The director can no longer harm me, and since they've lost their brilliant, the Imperial consort won't be able to come after me for a while. We had an excruciating relationship, Madam Director, so goodbye now. They reached Manor, after a while. She asked. Are you alright? Deline speaks. Shoo, does it hurt a lot? She replied. I'm not in. Deline speaks firmly. I don't deserve to be your big brother, Shoo. Then she asked. Are you crying now, Deline? Deline crying while replied. I failed to protect Shuelina, all because of a drink, she said, but that evil mage whisked me away. And the drink was for me too. I knew that you and his grace would come to rescue me. I twist you all. Saying this, she lost in thought. It's dangerous for an orphan to think that they have no one to trust, but it really felt like everyone would come to save me at that moment. This time, I escaped harm's way thanks to them. But the Imperial consort will come for my spiritual power again. I managed to get through today because of the Archduke's protection, but what about next time? If the Imperial consort tries to ruin House Bylot along with me, what should I do? Even though House Bylot is the greatest noble family in the Empire, the Imperial consort belongs to the Imperial family. Moreover, the Imperial consort's father is Marquis Bertild, and he's a noble leader. They control the fertile lands in the southern part of the Empire, so they can control the Empire's food supply. On the other hand, the Archduke's family has been uninvolved in politics, so their influence is comparatively weaker. And it's not just House Bylot and the Imperial consort who could be my enemy, but the entire noble faction could be as well. I want to protect these people and myself. Can I prevail? After a while, Wendy asked. You must have been really scared, but everything is fine now. We'll stay by your side until you fall asleep, so why don't you lie down? She replied. But I'm sure you're all busy. Then Deline shouted loudly. How can we be busy after what just happened? I won't leave you alone, Shoo, Wendy said. I noticed your face was a bit flushed, but now I think you really do have a fever. We'll call our family doctor, so just get some rest for now, Shoo replied. But I'm fine. Then she think. Really? I feel dizzy, but a sip of water might make me feel better. Suddenly, water splashed on him. Deline shocked and says, Oh no. Shoo, Wendy asked. What happened? Shoo, are you alright? Shoo replies. It's so cold. Wendy asked. Don't worry. I'll warm you up. Is this better, Shoo? Hearing this, Shoo thinking. It's still cold. Maybe we could warm up by the fire. Suddenly, a fire started. Deline saw them, shocked, and says, Wendy. Shoo, Wendy asked. What was that? Shoo replied. My body feels strange. She suddenly speaks in an unconscious state. Who are you? Wendy. No, is that you? Is this a dream? Please don't be in pain, my pact maker. Then she drifted into a dream. That voice sounds more comforting the more I listen for some reason. But what does pact maker mean? Something is jumbled in my head. Was it a dream I had or is it a memory? I'm not sure. The seal hasn't been broken yet, so this is the only way I can come see you, he said. Right now, you're in a bit of pain as a result of manifesting your spiritual power, so get better soon. This time, you'll get what you wish. You will be happy. Please find me soon. I'll be waiting. Meanwhile, Deline shaking Baden and asked, Why isn't she waking up? He replied, Well, she will wake up soon. It's simply because she's mentally exhausted, young master, Delian added. But she suddenly collapsed, and after getting soaked, she caught on fire and fainted. But now you're saying she's mentally exhausted? Baden said. Your Grace. Oh dear, young master. Please let me go. Windert. Help. Windert rushes to Shoo. Archduke speaks. You're awake. This little one really knows how to worry people, Wendy said. Father has been distraught, and so has everyone else. Then she asked. Oh. What happened to the orphanage director? Archduke sits across from Shoo and replied. You're still too young to know the details. But she received appropriate punishment. She asked again. But I want to know too. Don't I have the right to know? He replied. The director neglected the orphanage and embezzled funds, and taking into account abusing and kidnapping you. She was immediately executed. She added. I see, he says. Shoo, you might be feeling a bit overwhelmed, but I must introduce you to someone. At that moment, a woman in a blue robe enters and bows. Then she said, Hello, my lady. I am Igraine from the Blue Magic Tower. I'm here because it seems you have special abilities. Hearing this, she startled and think, a mage. Shoo clutches the Archduke's arm fearfully. Archduke says, Do not worry, Shoo. I am here with you, so you are safe. Igraine asked, Can you tell us what that man did to you before? she replied. Earlier, when that witch touched my body, my vision went blurry and I felt weak. My insides were twisting, and it hurt so much that I couldn't even let out a cry. Hearing this, Lucy began to tremble with fear. Ever since I was at the orphanage, it kept happening. Hearing this, Archduke clenches his fist and says, "Then they certainly deserve to die." Igraine gently speaks. "My lady, I have come to help you. If we can understand your abilities, we can ensure that such things never happen again." She sits quietly, lost in thought. The power Shuelina possesses is spiritual power. What if the Archduke learns that I have spiritual power and sends me to the Imperial Palace? Finding the long-lost daughter of the Emperor would benefit his reputation, after all. Then she recalls that Azella shout loudly, "He is my father! Your corrupt mother is dead, and your father has forgotten you, so why are you doing this?" His Britha said, "My only little sister is Azella. Even if I go to the Imperial Palace, no one will welcome me. I don't want to go to the Imperial Palace." Archduke clutched her hands and said, "I already know many things about you." She saw him and think, "Oh, he does. He must have heard some things about me from the director. I can feel the kindness and favor he's always shown me in his gaze. Well, it's something he'll find out eventually, so I'll just trust him this time." Igraine reached out her hand and said, "Miss, I use freezing magic, so you will feel a bit cold for a moment." Igraine started performing magic. A shimmering frost forms and suddenly, a surge of energy bursts from Shu. Igraine pulled her hand back and speaks. "This can't be." Archduke shocked and asked, "What's the matter?" Igraine replied, "What she used before wasn't magic." Hearing this, Deline startled and speaks, "What?" "But Windy and I both saw it. We clearly saw fire and water appear suddenly, just like magic," Igraine added. "I assumed that was elemental magic as well, but instead of mana, I sensed a special power emanating from her head." Windy says, "If it's from the head, do you mean spiritual power?" Deline speaks, "But spiritual power is something only direct descendants of the Imperial family have." "Does that mean Shushu has Imperial blood?" Archduke said. "Among the direct descendants of the Imperial family, the only possibility is she's the daughter of the late Empress. So, the child who was said to have died right after birth and had a funeral actually survived." Igraine bows deeply before leaving. Archduke speaks, "Good work. Since you've confirmed her power, you may go now. But remember, what you've witnessed today must never be known." Igraine bowed and said, "I will guard this secret with my life, Your Grace." Igraine exits. The Archduke turns to Shu, his eyes soft. Then Archduke speaks, "Do you wish to return to the Imperial Palace? If you want your status as princess restored, tell me." She says, "I don't want that." He asked, "How comes?" Shuelina replied, "If I were truly a princess, before I was sent to the orphanage, someone would have protected me. But no one did, Your Grace. I'm still just an orphan from an orphanage. Do you no longer need me?" Shuelina was crying. He said, "It's true that I don't need to take care of an orphan for show anymore. Instead, I need a daughter." The Archduke kneels before her. Then he asked, "I vowed to always protect you, so will you be my daughter?" Archduke stands before Shuelina, presenting a delicate silver locket. Its surface glimmers with age and sentiment. Then he said, "I was wondering when I should bring this up. This is an heirloom that has been passed down through the daughters of this family. We've kept it safe since the last daughter was born 100 years ago. If you become my daughter, we can take a family photo and put it inside. And even if you don't become part of our family, I will still protect you. The choice is entirely yours." Shuelina stares at the locket. Then she lost in thought. "I should tell him I'll become part of this family right away. But what if my presence puts them all in danger? What if these kind people get hurt because of me? I don't know what to say." The next morning, at White Rose Manor, Shuelina sees the locket and thinking. Several days have passed since that incident. Since the day my spiritual power manifested, my physical condition has rapidly improved. I don't slur my speech or stutter anymore. She recalls the Archduke's words. "The choice is entirely yours." Shu. She turns surprised and said, "Oh, Windy! When did you get here? I didn't realize you were here." Windy speaks, "Were you thinking about becoming a part of our family?" "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound like I was pushing you. Father mentioned that it wasn't right to make you feel pressured." Then Deline says, "But I'm still curious. Let's live together." Shu. Windy added, "Deline, don't do that. You'll make Shu uncomfortable." Shuelina said, "Windy, Deline. I also want to continue living here at White Rose Manor, Deline asked. Then what's the issue? Shuelina replied. Well, if I stay here, I might negatively impact your family's reputation even more. Wendy asked. That's not true, Shushu. Why don't we take a walk? The carriage stops before a familiar building. Shuelina steps out slowly. Wendy said, Isn't this place? This is where you used to live, Shushu. That nasty director is no longer here. A few orphans notice her and run up excitedly. Someone said, Huh! It's Shushu, Shuelina says. Sophie. Marie. Aileen, Marie speaks. Shu, you look so pretty, Sophie said. It's been so long, Aileen added. I'm glad to see you're healthy. Then Wendy pushes her and says, Go ahead and catch up with them. We'll wait in the carriage. Shuelina stepped forward, smiling softly at her old friends. Sophie asked, Have you been well? Marie smiled and said, Shu really has become a princess. Aileen speaks. Oh, that's right. We have so much to thank you for, Shu. You didn't forget about us even after becoming part of the Archduke's family. Hearing this, Shuelina asked, Wait, what are you all talking about? Sophie replied, You changed the orphanage for us, Shu. Marie speaks. And you're the one who got rid of the Madam Director, right? Thanks to you, a kinder new director came, Shuelina added. I heard that the Archduke's family acknowledged me for my brains and kindness. Then she thinking, Do they all think the Archduke adopted me because I got rid of the director and changed the orphanage? She asked. By the way, I haven't seen Tellin at all. Did she go somewhere? Marie replied. Oh, Tellin. She was locked in the closet as punishment and got very sick. The new director sent her to a different orphanage because she was in very bad condition. She said it was like a medical ward. We didn't know this, but if we die, adults come to check on us. That's why the old director told us never to die here. Shuelina lost in thought. I see, although Tellin and I didn't get along. I still hope she ends up in a good place where she won't be beaten. Then she said, I think I have to go now. They speaks. All right. Come visit again, Shu. Then she smiled, nodded her head and thinks, No. I'm no longer Shu. I've already become Shu. The carriage waits by the road. Wendy stands nearby, watching Shuelina approach. Wendy asked, Are you all done? Did you have a good time with your friends? Hearing this, she think, He's speaking as if I'm going back with him. Then she asked, Why did you bring me here? He replied, How was the orphanage? It felt more awkward than being at White Rose Manor, right? She replied, Yes, that means this is no longer your home. Your reputation and family history don't matter. You can shine just by being yourself wherever you are. A little later, she was standing near the stairs on the 3rd floor of White Rose Manor. Archduke picked her up in his arms and started walking on the stairs. Hearing this, she sat thinking. He said he had something to show me right after we came home. But where are we going? I've never been to the 3rd floor before. Then he put her down and asked, Have you heard what this place is for? He answered by himself. This place holds the history of House Bylot. These are portraits of our ancestors. My portrait is here too, and over here portraits of each family head are also displayed. Our family has relatively few members, so there are still plenty of spaces to hang more portraits. She thinks, Huh! Was he just joking? Is he implying that there will be a place for my portrait? He said, This is House Bylot's first ancestor. The founder of our House Bylot was a dragon. That's why his eyes are elongated like that. She asked, What's a dragon? He replied, A dragon? Well, then she thought. It resembles a lizard, but it has wings and it's incredibly strong. I'm a lizard, he said. What I mean is, how should I explain so Shushu can understand that? A faint rumble echoes through the hall. She startled and says herself, Huh! What was that sound? Her eyes fall on a distant portrait, a mysterious, handsome figure with long silver hair and pointed ears. Then she asked, Who is that? After a while he speaks. There are no more dragons left in this world, so maybe I should show you a picture book with dragons, Shuelina said while making a gesture. But your grace, there's someone over there. He asked, What are you talking about? She replied, Over there. She blinks, the figure is gone. Then she's shocked and think, Huh! What was that? Was I seeing things? Then she said, Never mind. They continue walking. Rows of glittering heirlooms line the room. A small, jeweled crown catches Shuelina's eye. She says, It's so pretty! And small, he asked, It's for children. Would you like to try it on? Then he said while removing the glass from it, It hasn't been touched for over 100 years. Shuelina was startled and asked, "Are you saying you're going to touch it now? It's clearly a national treasure." "What if I drop it? What if it breaks?" He smiled and replied, "Then we'll just make another one." Then he said while putting the crown on her head, "If that happens, I'll let you choose the design that suits you best." Princess Shuelina de Bylot. Shuelina blushes. The Archduchy is a vassal state of the Empire of Abnesia, but I am technically the head of a nation. If you become my daughter, you will also become a princess. This is the room where heirlooms for girls are kept, and I hope you will accept being a part of this place." She flustered and asked, "Eek. Why aren't you making any sense, Your Grace?" He replies, "Why do you think I'm not making sense? I am asking you to become my daughter right now." She asked again, "Is that right?" He replied, "So it would make sense to show you what a daughter of mine would have, and then let you choose." She says, "That's true, but," he added, "I don't intend to force you, of course. Even if you don't become my daughter, I won't take it back." Then she asked, "What do you mean? This is a treasured family heirloom. That's absurd. What about the girls born after me? The descendants are not my concern right now." She stunned and asked, "What?" He speaks, "I am currently doing my best to persuade you to become my daughter. So do I need to think about the future daughters of House Bylot as well?" Shuelina leans against the railing, moonlight reflecting in her eyes. Then she lost in thought. "Honestly, the beautiful clothes from the manor, and the luxurious foods I had never tasted have truly been like a dream. But greed can lead to unhappiness. I'm not even sure if I can ever repay all the kindness the Archduke has shown me so far." After a while she asked, "Your Grace, what if I refuse to be adopted even after receiving all of this?" He replied, "If you're that worried, then become my real daughter." Hearing this, she started thinking, "What should I do? Will he truly be able to protect me? And can I protect this person in return?" Then she said, "Your Grace doesn't understand my circumstances." Saying this, she thinking again, "If the Archduke accepts me even knowing my circumstances, and stands by me, I would truly be happy." She says, "Adopting me could put you in danger." He asked, "Are you talking about the Imperial consort?" Shuelina flinches. She thought, no one would abduct a penniless orphan for nothing, let alone use a magic tool. Now that he knows I'm an Imperial princess, it's only natural for the Archduke to be suspicious of the Imperial consort. He asked, "How did you know the Imperial consort was targeting you?" "You're quite informed," Shuelina replied. "I heard about it when my spiritual power was being stolen. I only learned a few days ago that I have abilities because I'm an Imperial princess, though, and the fact is, Azella has no spiritual power. She's deceiving everyone." Archduke speaks, "So that's why they were trying to take away your spiritual power," Shuelina says, "and they'll keep coming. I might put your whole family in danger, Your Grace. The Imperial consort might see you as an enemy as well," Archduke said firmly. "The House Bylot is not so weak that we can't even protect our own daughter." Shuelina asked, "What if the Imperial consort's influence is even greater than you thought? Everything was fine after the last time, but what if she attacks you next time? What if Windy, Dell, Lucy, or Edgar is taken hostage?" At that moment, she lost in thought. In the novel, the Imperial consort was plotting many things, so there will be even greater dangers ahead, Archduke replied. "The same goes for House Bylot. We also keep our true strength hidden." Shuelina asked again, "I'll only bring you danger, trouble, and difficulties. Do you really want to adopt me despite that?" Archduke speaks firmly. "A climbing person never forgets the taste of food. Even if that food is on an unreachable cliff, one must crawl and reach it no matter what." Archduke asked, "Perhaps. Have you actually met any of them?" Shuelina replies, "I don't want that. They're not my family." Archduke asked again, "Have you actually met away any of them?" Shuelina replies, "And oh, I don't think of myself as an Imperial princess. If I really was, then why did I have to live like this? Neither the Emperor nor the Crown Prince could protect a child like me. Not only that, they only loved Azella. That's the fate of this world in a book, after all. This world is only kind to the protagonist, Azella, and it can't be changed now. There's no way I could find happiness. I have no family. I'm all alone." Archduke kneels beside Shuelina, eyes filled with compassion. Then he added, "In that case, my sons and I will become your new family. I'll make sure no one harms you. So let's live together." Hearing this, Shuelina bursts into tears. Then she covered her eyes with her hand and said, "I just feel so shameless though. Don't. I want us to live happily together. I know I'm indulging in your generosity right now, but I will definitely repay you somehow. I'd love for you to be my father, Archduke says. Shoo shoo, true parents don't burden their children with debt. He hugs her tightly and then think, when will all of these wounds heal? She asked. Then, will you love me unconditionally now? The door burst open with a loud crash. Windy and Deline stepped inside. Then Deline shouted loudly, Shoo shoo! Stop asking obvious questions. Shuelina saw then and said, Windy? Deline, Dylan speaks. Will you really be my little sister? I can't believe I get to have a sister like you. Shoo shoo. This is great, Windy says. You've made a wonderful choice. Shoo shoo. We promise to protect you, so you should also promise us something. Let's stay together forever. Shoo shoo. Having no one else to rely on, they must have been lonely too, just like me. Now we can cherish each other, express our love, and hold each other when we're lonely. She smiled, hugged Windy and said, All right, Archduke says, we'll always be next to each other as family. Shuelina replied, Thank you, Your Grace. Archduke sits beside Shuelina on her bed, flipping through a few books laid out before them, his eyes curious and gentle. Then he said, Let's see. I wonder what kind of books you like. Shoo shoo, she thinks. So this is the part when the dad reads a bedtime story, right? Archduke asked. Would you like to choose, Shoo shoo? Which one do you prefer? She smiled and said, I like this one, Your Grace. Then she thinks, Is something wrong? Should I choose something else? Then he asked, Why are you still addressing me as Your Grace? We are father and daughter now, she replies. Oh. Father, he says. That's fine too, but try something shorter that repeats twice, she said. Twice. Oh, then she thinking, Papa. I can say it easily in my mind, but I can't say it out loud. Could it be due to my memories of being rejected by my family, that I can't even properly say it? But I don't want to give up this easily, she says. Papa, Archduke said, That's it, my daughter. Now lie down. Then he reads a story. Once upon a time, on top of the magic tower. Hearing this, she start thinking, although he sounds clumsy, he's using different voices to read. He's exactly the kind of father I've always dreamed of, he says, and so the mage went down. She thinks again. I really like my papa. I'm so happy we get to live together, he said. The mage rolled around like a puppy in the flower field. Shoo shoo, have you ever seen a puppy? Oh dear, she's fallen asleep. Sweet dreams, shoo shoo. Then Shuelina gets lost in dream. Wow! Pretty flowers are everywhere. Will Papa and my brothers like them if I give these to them? A voice calls out. Wake up. She wakes up and thinks to herself. What's this? I smell flowers. It's dangerous if you use more power. Shuelina notices a man standing before her, bound with ropes, and her voice trembles as she speaks. Who's there? Then she thinking. Could it be an assassin? If he wanted to kill me, he could have just thrown a knife at me. Is that sack big enough for me to fit in? No way. Is the Imperial consort trying to abduct me? The ropes moves toward her, and she screams. Help me! In the Imperial palace, the Emperor and Crown Prince sense a surge of power. Then he thought, Shuelina. It's definitely Shuelina. This is Shuelina's presence, so Shelv is still alive. She must not have anyone to teach her how to use her power properly. Could she be in danger? The Crown Prince, running, shouts. Father! Father, that child, she's alive, Emperor said. Even though it's night, there are many eyes in the Imperial Palace. I've put up a barrier with spiritual energy, so we're fine. Now speak slowly, Crown Prince says. That child is alive, Emperor replied. Yes, I felt it too. Shuelv's spiritual power came from the direction of the Archduchy. Crown Prince asked. Could she be there? Emperor replied. We don't know that yet. Then he bit his lip and began to think. If the child is still alive, then the Imperial consort lied about her death. She must have been taken away before the funeral. How dare she do this to the child I had with her ace? And to our family? I don't know who the real culprit is yet, but I will never forgive those involved, he said calmly. I will locate and bring your little sister back. I can finally keep the promise I made to you and her ace. Crown Prince speaks. Then I promise you this, Father. If you can't bring her back, I will go and get her myself. Back at White Rose Manor, guards hears a voice, enters and asked. Lady Shuelina. My lady, are you all right? Archduke asked. Halt! What in the world is this? When did these flowers? What are you all doing instead of following your training? Then he shouted loudly. Don't just stand there. Protect Shushu immediately, and capture the intruder alive so we can interrogate him. Guard replies, Yes, Your Grace. Archduke asked, Shushu, are you hurt? Shushu, are you alright? She replied, I'm fine. Then she began to think. The last time I used my power, it felt like my head was going to split open. But this time, I'm not in any pain, and I actually feel refreshed. Wendy stepped forward and asked, What is all this? What happened? She replied, Well, I was dreaming of swinging from a vine and playing in a field of flowers. This is so much fun, and when I woke up, it was like this. The room became a flower field, and a strange person is, saying this, she think. They don't think I'm a monster, do they? Deline said, Shushu, you're incredible. I'm so impressed. Next time, dream of a room full of chocolate cakes. She began to think again. He's probably not too surprised by this room because he's still young. I didn't think it was a big deal. But is Papa making that unusual expression? Because I'm stronger than I thought? A little later, Shuelina is making necklaces with her new maid, Nina. Lucy asked, What are you up to, my lady? Nina speaks. Head maid Lucy. Lady Shuelina is making us necklaces. Aren't they adorable? Lucy said. Oh my, you've made them look so pretty. There's one for you as well. Then she began to think. After being officially adopted into the Archduke's family, Lucy said, Oh, my lady, I will cherish it. Dame Heloran speaks. It suits you well. Lucy smiled and asked, Did you make this just for me? Then Shuelina thought, Father assigned me a personal guard, Dame Heloran, and a personal maid, Nina. Then she said, I wanted to give them to everyone, so I made them with Nina. Thank you, Nina. Nina added, I only did a little bit of cutting. You were doing so well that I felt like you didn't need me, my lady. Lucy asked, How did you think to make all of this? Shuelina replied, Well, you gave me a ribbon, Lucy. Edgar gave me a handkerchief. Tutu is from Dell, and Wendy gave me a bracelet. Everyone gave me gifts because I became part of the family, so I want to give everyone a gift too. Lucy asked again, My lady, I'm truly touched. May I help you at all? Shuelina replied again, Now I just finished. I'll give them to people in order from the first floor to the second floor. But Lucy, keep this a secret from Papa for now, Lucy said. All right. I'll keep it a secret. Shuelina gives out her handmade necklaces to the manor staff. Dame Heloran says, It's so beautiful, my lady. Thank you. To receive a medal from you is an honor upon my family, my lady. I will treasure it. Thank you so much, my lady. Hearing this, Shuelina started thinking. Everyone has been delighted, but they're not that special. Dame Heloran asked, What are you thinking about, my lady? Shuelina replied, Just that. I feel like I haven't done anything, but everyone is so welcoming. Dame Heloran added, Lady Shuelina, children always deserve unconditional love. Shuelina asked, Unconditional love? Maids whisper in the background. First maid asked, Did you hear about that? Second maid asked, Do you mean the decree from the Imperial Palace? First maid asked again, The Imperial family is suddenly doing something? What could this mean? Then second asked, The one who has manifested will be taken to the Imperial Palace, right? Suddenly, Wendy came, and he picked it up her and said, Shoo. Shuelina visits Wendy and Deline during their training. Wendy asked, What brings you here? Then Deline came and shouted loudly, Did you come to see your big brother? Yay, it's Shoo. When did you get here? Shuelina saw him and speaks. Deline, you shouldn't throw your sword in the air like that. It's dangerous, Deline added. I was just so happy to see you. Wendy asked, What's that around Dame Heloran's neck? Deline asked, What is that? It's so ugly. Dame Heloran smiled and replied, Are you talking about this? If you're referring to this medal, it's the kindest knight medal. Lady Shuelina made it for me. Then Shuelina said, I want to go back to my room, Dame Heloran. It seems like my big brothers don't really want one. Wendy said, I never said that, Shoo. Forget his and just give me mine. Then Deline asked, Shoo, you made it? Shuelina asked, Do you like the necklace I made, Wendy? Wendy bowed and replies, Of course I do. Then I'll give you yours. Thank you, Shoo. Then Deline shaking her and said, Wah. No. Me too. Shoo, me too, she replied. Deline. I'm getting dizzy, Wendy said. Stop that, you brat. Shoo's getting dizzy, he says. Oops. I'm sorry. Shoo, I want a necklace too, she asked. Didn't you say it was ugly? Then she lost in thought. It seems that everyone is more excited about the fact that I made them something rather than how pretty it is. But after seeing Dell's reaction, I want to tease him even more for some reason, he said. I honestly didn't know you made them, shoo, she asked. If I made them, does that suddenly make them beautiful? So if you like me, does that mean you think I'm ugly? He replies. I actually like ugly things. No, that's not true. I actually use the word ugly to mean beautiful. It's true, really. From now on, ugly means beautiful. I'll even make a law about it later. Hearing this, she smiled and said, maybe I should have changed the words on yours too. The world's ugliest big brother. Huh, you'll get scolded by master if you keep slacking off. Get back to practice. I should go to Papa next too. I'll see you at dinner time, they both of them said. See you later, shoo. Shuelina goes to see the Archduke. Maid said, Lady Shuelina has arrived, my lady. Then she thinks, why is everyone greeting me so enthusiastically? Archduke asked. What's the matter? Servant smiled and replied, well, she's here to deliver something, your grace. She thinks, Papa seems to be in a bad mood. Seeing this, Shuelina start thinking. Archduke asked, what about mine? Servant said, thank you, my lady. Aha! Is it because everyone else has one around their neck, and Papa hasn't gotten one yet? Well, it must feel bad to be the only one left out after everyone else has theirs already. I should hurry and give it to him. After a while, she stepped forward, said, Papa, this is for you. Archduke asked, why am I the last one? Servant replied, ha. The important things are always last, your grace. Archduke said, I thought I was the best. She speaks, then do you not need this? I specially wrote, world's greatest Papa, on it, and I tried to use the most beautiful words, and to make it crackle and glisten. I even applied the glitter oh so carefully. Archduke says, give it here, she said. I'll put it on for you. Servant said in himself. She sat right on his grace's lap, without hesitation. That's our young lady? She asked. Do you like it? He replied. You did such a great job. By the way, I had something to tell you, so you've come just in time. She asked. Something to tell me? The Archduke informed Shuelina of the news. The Imperial Palace has issued a decree. Shuelina lost in thought. Waves of spiritual power, the proof of Imperial blood, have been detected. The one who manifested it must promptly enter the Imperial Palace. That was something I had already heard from the rumors spreading around the manor, and my initial thought upon hearing it was, why now? Why are they looking for me only now? Could it be because I changed Shuelina's fate, by keeping her spiritual energy from being absorbed by Azella? Then he said, are you perhaps regretting the adoption? It isn't strange to long for your true family, you know, she replied. No, that's not it. I've never thought that. My only family is Papa, Windy, and Deline. I know it might not come to this, but please promise me that you won't send me away even if the Emperor comes to find me in person. Hearing this, he said, I won't send you away unless you leave on your own. She added, yes. That's a promise. He speaks. And there's one more thing I need to tell you, she says. There is? He picked up a paper and said, since you need to be educated as the Archduke's daughter, I'm trying to find a private tutor for you. She asked. You mean you want me to study? He replied. If you don't want to. Then she smiled and says, of course I do. She began to think. I'll study hard and make sure I'm known as a smart noble lady worthy of the Archduke's family, he said. So my daughter is a model student who enjoys studying. Then I will look for the most renowned teacher in the imperial capital. The scene shifts to the imperial consort, who is brooding over the failed plan. Tapping her finger on the paper, then she read it. Seeking a teacher to take on the education of the only daughter of House Bylot. After reading this, she thinks, how irritating. I let father take charge of the situation on his own, but sending only one abductor led to this mess. Now that the Archduke is protecting her, it will be much more difficult to bring her back. Since I am an imperial family member only by marriage, I cannot possess spiritual power. I plan to extract her spiritual power to prevent her from awakening them. I was going to move her from place to place so the Emperor couldn't find her, and use her as a sacrifice. Now that they know the child is alive, the plan has gone awry. But if the Emperor hadn't issued that decree, I wouldn't have known about Shuelina's awakening. So in a way, this could be a blessing. Requesting her to come on her own by imperial decree suggests that they can't find her, so I must act quickly before they do. She smirked and said, even if the plan has gone awry, This is merely a game. Oh, I get it. An amusing thought just came to mind. What if I made the Archduke regret taking in that child? Back at White Rose Manor, Shuelina meets her new tutor. Shuelina says, "Hello, Professor," she said. "I see you haven't learned manners yet." A more subtle smile is the mark of a noble lady. Assistant Professor of the Imperial Academy, Lima Bane. Lima Bane speaks, smiling with your teeth showing looks vulgar. "Well, I did hear that you haven't had the chance to learn these things yet, my lady. Regrettably, it seems that the habits of your commoner orphan past have yet to be corrected." Shuelina saw her and think, "What is this?" Her eyes are looking at me with pity. This feels different from the way Lucy, father, and my brothers felt pity for me. Lima Bane smiled and said, "It's fine. Changing inherent traits is quite difficult, which is why I am here. Let's use these lessons to help you become a splendid noble lady." Hearing this, Shuelina lost in thought. Uncomfortable. Am I behaving like a commoner orphan girl right now? She asked. What exactly is noble behavior? Do I have to be perfect to become a noble lady? Lima Bane continues to criticize Shuelina's speech and demeanor. Your pronunciation may be clear, but your diction doesn't sound noble at all. Try again, she asked. Do I have to perfect? Lima Bane says. Again, she asked. Must I be perfect to become a noble lady? Lima Bane said. I was told that you were clever, but I'm rather disappointed. She began to think. Lucy, Nina, and everyone else have praised me for speaking in a dignified manner. Were they just saying that to be nice to me? Or does the professor just dislike me? Lima Bane speaks. Etiquette, dignity, and beauty are all things that stand at the starting line of becoming a noble lady. But of course, bloodline comes first and foremost. Then she thinks again. Wait, bloodline? My blood isn't a flaw. I have Imperial blood. Besides, Wendy said that no matter what my status or past is, I'm good enough as I am. No matter where I am or what I do, I'm still Shuelina. After a while, she said confidently, Professor, I am still a noble lady. I am Archduke Bylot's only daughter. Lima Bane took a deep breath and said, My lady, that's not what I meant. She speaks, but you keep disregarding that fact, Professor. You didn't even greet me after you came into my room, Lima Bane asked. I've been disregarding you, my lady. This is how I am motivating you too, she replied. No. You only keep bringing up my past, which has nothing to do with the lesson. Lima Bane bowed and added, My lady, I understand you might be ashamed of your past as a common orphan, but your past is a part of you, she said. Professor, I've never been ashamed of my past. Is being a commoner something to be ashamed of? Lima Bane added. That's not what I meant either, she says. I simply wish to be treated with the respect I deserve. Then Lima said, Very well. I am Lima Bane, my lady. For this month, try to at least meet half of the standard that the Imperial Princess has set. Lima Bane begins to praise Azella as the perfect standard. She startled and thinks, The Imperial Princess? Why is she mentioning Azella? Lima Bane said. Despite her age, Princess Azella shines as the perfect example of a lady in the Imperial Palace. She has etiquette, eloquence, and sophistication. The princess is a flawless example of having everything. We must all do our best to follow her example as closely as possible. Hearing this, she said, As a young lady, you should have learned many things by now. But don't worry. I will make sure to transform you into a flawless young lady. Then she shouted loudly, What? Why does the princess get to be young, and I'm expected to learn so much? We're both 6 years old, Lima Bane said. My lady, a refined young lady does not engage in petty arguments. Suddenly, Shuelina blazed with anger and began to think, This is so frustrating. What exactly am I supposed to do? Does Lima Bane think that noble young ladies have their mouths sewn shut? Lima Bane speaks. I understand that commoner and noble manners are different, so you may be unfamiliar with them. But, Shuelina asked, Why have you been looking down on me just because I was a commoner? Lima Bane replied, Oh my, I'm just telling you what I see. Then Shuelina thinking, I'm no longer a commoner. But even if I were, there's no need for this kind of disrespect. Is being a noble all that matters? This is really too much. Just you wait. I'll show you how terrifying a child can be. How dare you mess with me? At dinner, Shuelina puts her plan into action. Wendy said, Enjoy your meal, Shu. Deline says, It's my favorite today. Wendy shocked and said, Shoo? Then Deline asked, Wait. Who made our little Shoo cry? She replied, Papa, big brothers. Archduke saw her shocked, stood up and asked, "What happened? Shushu, what's wrong? Why are you suddenly sobbing like this?" She thinks, "Huh! I was only trying to shed one tear, though." Archduke stepped forward and asked, "What happened? Who has made you cry so much?" she asked. "Papa, are you ashamed of me?" Archduke asked. "Huh? What do you mean? Who said such things to you?" She think, "Oh, I see." After hearing everything Professor Lima said, I was afraid that the Archduke and his family were embarrassed of me. She asked again, "Papa, am I an embarrassing child? Is it natural to be ashamed of being an orphan before?" Then Archduke asked again, "Who said such things to you?" "Was it your teacher?" she replied. "She said that as things stand now, I'm bringing shame to House Bylot. Am I a shameful daughter?" Archduke called out. "Lucy." Lucy replies, "Yes, Your Grace," he said. "Bring that teacher to me at once." Archduke confronts Professor Lima Bane. Lima Bane asked, "I heard you called for me, Your Grace," he replied, "and I heard that you used abusive language toward my daughter." Lima Bane said, "I wouldn't dare speak abusively to the young lady." He asked, "Then why did you make the child feel ashamed?" Lima Bane asked. "Did she say that she felt ashamed during my lessons?" He replied, "After my 6-year-old daughter finished her lesson today, she suddenly asked why she should be ashamed of her past." Then he asked again, "What exactly did you teach her?" Lima Bane replied, "In the process of getting to know her, it was natural for her past to come up, so she must have felt some embarrassment. Then she trembled with fear and began to think, given the Archduke's curse, it must be difficult for her to even stand up. Should I acknowledge that I'm impressed?" He added, "My daughter has no need to feel ashamed of her past." Lima Bane speaks. The young lady must feel a sense of inadequacy in herself. Realizing one's shortcomings is how one can further improve. It's a process many children go through. Hearing this, Shuelina thought, "Did I misunderstand? Or is she intentionally making things confusing because she doesn't like me?" Lima Bane says, "Your Grace, children tend to say exactly what they feel. True education relies on objective evaluation. If we assess the young lady objectively, she cannot be compared to her peers in the Empire." Then Shuelina thought again, "How does she speak so eloquently? Is she conning everyone? In my role, I strive to make her become the epitome of noble ladies, a shining example for the Archduke's family." Archduke stopped her with a wave of his hand. Then he looked toward Shuelina and asked, "Shushu, who are you?" She replied, "Huh! I'm Papa's daughter." Hearing this, he said, "Yes, you are the one and only daughter of House Bylot. My daughter has no reason to be compared to anyone else in the Empire. And to be precise, others should follow Shushu's example, shouldn't they?" Lima Bane added, "That wasn't my intention. I was aiming to motivate her by teaching her the standard qualities of being a noble lady." He says, "I believe my daughter is rather adorable and lovable." Lima Bane asked, "Is that so?" He replied, "That is why I've sworn that this child would shed no more tears. Hence, you are fired." Then Lima Bane speaks. "Pardon? Your Grace, it was merely a misunderstanding," he said. "In any case, you are fired. Leave now." Hearing this, Shuelina startled and think, "Huh! But what about my studies?" she asked. "Then who will be my teacher?" Lima Bane said. But that will be an issue. I must be in charge of the young lady's education." Shuelina thinking, "She must be in charge of my education?" At that moment, Lima Bane speaks. "If I leave like this, my reputation will be ruined. I can redesign my teaching plan to suit her." Shuelina thinks again. Why is she so desperate? How suspicious. Then she smiled and said, "That's right, Papa. It's true I was upset with her, but firing her right away seems too hasty." Saying this, she thought, "Kicking her out like this will definitely mean trouble later." He asked, "But Shushu, making you upset is a serious offense. Wouldn't it be better if you were taught by a more renowned and gentler teacher?" Hearing this, she lost in thought. "Since it's come to this, I'll go all out with a cuteness attack." After a while she asked, "Papa, I want this teacher to teach me." "Please," he replied, "Shushu, but..." She smiled and asked, "Will you please let her teach me?" "Please?" Archduke took a deep breath and replied, "Since it's your first time asking me like this, I can't say no. What a kind daughter I have. She has such a soft heart, so if my daughter sheds tears again you are finished." After a while, Shuelina lay in her room, lost in thought. The professor seemed a bit suspicious, so I need to look into her. Later, she saw a mysterious figure appears. Then she think, "It's that child." She gets down from the bed and asks, Who are you? She stepped forward and thinks. How odd. Even though we've never met, why does it feel like I've been missing him? He touched the mysterious figure, and as his hand passed through it, she spoke. Are you, my hand? He said. Careful, she asked. I can't hear you. Can you say that again? He said again. Be careful. Then she think. He's gone. Was that a ghost? Be careful. Given my circumstances, he obviously meant the professor, right? Come to think of it, I haven't been in the newspapers yet, so information about me hasn't spread. But it seemed like the professor knew about me already. She also said she must be in charge of my education. As an Imperial Academy associate professor, there are plenty of places for her to go back to even if she's dismissed. And the Imperial capital is so far from the Archduchy, it shouldn't have a major impact on her reputation either. The more I think about it, the more uncomfortable I feel. Wait. If she's from the Imperial capital, could she be here on the Imperial consort's orders? There's no harm in being cautious, so it's best to keep a close eye on her for now. The next morning, Shuelina was sitting in the garden when her maid, Nina, arrived. Nina asked, My lady, Lady Shuelina, isn't it chilly? I brought you a blanket, my lady. Have you been upset all day because your pajamas were damaged? Shuelina asked. Nina, how did you know? Nina replied, I heard a maid from the laundry room talking about it in the hallway earlier. Don't worry. I'll replace the ribbon for you, Shuelina asked. Thank you, Nina. But am I really a bad child? Hearing this, Nina shocked and asked. Huh? My lady, what are you talking about? Shuelina replied. Slightly burning the ribbon was just a mistake. I was upset and angry because it was the first gift that Papa ever gave me. Then Nina speaks firmly. You cherish those pajamas, so of course you'd feel upset. And there's no need to worry about someone who talks behind your back. Oops, Shuelina says. I don't mind. I already know some people in the manor dislike me. Nina startled and asked. What? You knew that? Shuelina replied. I grew up learning to sense these things. I can tell who likes me and who doesn't. Even though you knew, you're still worried about that maid. There is no kinder child than our Lady Shuelina. Hearing this, Shuelina smiled and said, Nina added, by the way, since we're on the topic, the professor was speaking with that maid. Shuelina asked. She was? Nina replied. Yes, I knew you were feeling down because that maid was complaining to the professor. I saw them when I was getting you the blanket. Then she lost in thought. She seemed to have quieted down after that meeting with Papa. But she's gossiping behind our backs? Shuelina suddenly stood up, and the blanket slipped off, so Nina said, My lady. Then she thought again. If Lima Bane holds nobility in such high regard, I need to find out what's going on. When Shuelina goes inside, she confronts the maid about the burned ribbon. Shuelina asked, What is your name? She replied, Fran, my lady. Lady Shuelina, I'm so sorry. I've made a grave mistake. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't know the ribbon would burn. I'm so very sorry. Hearing this, she lost in thought. I was only going to mention that I know that she was gossiping. This is a surprise. Then she stepped forward and said, That's not what I was going to talk about. The ribbon was just a mistake. Lift your head, Fran? Fran asked. Then why? Shuelina replied. Actually, I need one more personal maid, and I like that you told me about your mistake right away. I like honest people. Fran asked. Does that mean you're making me your personal maid? Shuelina smiled and replied, Yes. I'll let Papa know, Fran says. Thank you so much. Woohoo, my life is turning around. My social status just went up. I can say goodbye to doing wet and dirty chores. I've dreamed of having a comfortable life. My hands are freezing. Wonderful. After a while, Nina came and said, She seems a bit inept though, my lady. Do you really mean to make her your personal maid, just like me? Fran said. Bye-bye, laundry room. Shuelina speaks. Nina, keep calm. Someone honest and diligent like Fran matches well with me. I'm counting on you, Fran. Fran replied. Thank you so much, my lady. Later, Shuelina questions Fran while having her hair brushed. Fran asked, Please let me know if my brushing hurts you. Shuelina speaks. Alright, just don't pull too hard. Oh, and by the way, Fran said. Yes? Please go on, my lady. Then Shuelina added, Actually, I heard something a bit sad that I wanted to ask you about it. Did you gossip about me, Fran? Fran shocked and asked, My lady. That's absolutely not true. Who made such an accusation? Shuelina said. So it's really not true. I heard it from someone I trust, though. Fran thinks. Was it that professor? Fran says. Really and truly, that wasn't my intention, Shuelina asked. Are you saying you are innocent, Fran? Should I gather everyone and ask them, then? Fran replied. I'm sorry, my lady. I've committed a grave sin, Shuelina said. I wanted to be friends with you, Fran, but I can't have someone who dislikes me as my personal maid, Fran added. No, that's not true. How could I dislike you, my lady? It was the professor who kept coercing me to vent my frustrations. I didn't expect that to turn into this, Shuelina asked. The professor coerced you, Fran replied. Yes, that's correct. She often brings up your name to the maids who tend to her room. She made vague remarks that couldn't be perceived as either good or bad. Then Shuelina think. I noticed that in her tone too. Fran speaks, and then she approached people who interpreted what she said as negative or who showed interest. That's how she built connections and introduced us to each other. Hearing this, Shuelina thought. According to Fran, the professor is spreading strange rumors behind my back. Now I need to find out why, Shuelina says. Fran said. Yes, the Shuelina asked. Do you think you can follow my instructions well? Fran shouted loudly. Please tell me what to do. I will do whatever you ask of me, she added. In that case, Archduke is reading a bedtime story to Shuelina. Then she said, Papa, lie down, next to me. Archduke speaks. I think I'll finish reading the book we started yesterday, she says. Wonderful. I'm ready. He flipped through the pages and read it. Piaf the piglet kept sniffing and following the scent of herbs. Piaf smelled a sweet fragrance coming from deep in the mountains. Hooray! It must be herbs this time. Oink oink, she asked. Did he find them? Did he? He read it again. When he sniffed the smell as he got closer, it turned out to be sweet chocolate, not herbs. Disappointed, Piaf gathered the chocolate and set out on the road again. As Piaf set out on the road again, he finally, Cahill knocking the door, entered the room and speaks. Your Grace, there is an urgent matter that I must report to you, Archduke said. Come back in an hour, Cahill says. I apologize, but it's rather urgent. Hearing this, she began to think. But this is Cahill. He came all the way here, so it must be something really important. Then she says, Papa, it looks like there's a problem. Go ahead and check on it. He speaks. I'm sorry. I'll be back soon, Shuelina said. See you later. See you? She thinks again. What do I do now? I wanted to read the book with Papa. Maybe I should just go eavesdrop on him. Shuelina eavesdrops on the Archduke's meeting, Cahill says. At the moment, Viscount Baldwin and Baron Elga are here. They say there is a major issue in the territory. Archduke asked. If they've come here this late, is it that serious? Cahill replied. They say they are helpless due to a plague. They want House Bylot to assist them in any way possible. Archduke asked. Have they figured out the cause? He replied. Not yet. Hearing this, she began to think. A plague? But why did they come to Papa? Papa seems to be handling it as if it's natural for him to help. Are they connected to the Archduke's family? Archduke asked again. Where are they now? He replied. For now, they've been shown to the first sitting room, she said. Lord Windert is with them at the moment. Archduke speaks. I'm sorry. It seems like I won't be able to read with you any more today. Who's here? May I meet them too? It is too late at night. You must go to bed now, she says. Good night, Papa, he said. Sweet dreams. After a while, Deline came. Shuelina got up from the bed, and Deline asked, Shushu, where are you, Jong? She looks out of the window and thinks, there are so many people here. That plague must be serious. Then she asked, Deline, what's going on? Come here, he replied. There are lots of people downstairs. Let's sneak a peek. It's so unfair that only Windert gets to go, she said. Oh, but I think we'll get in trouble. He speaks. I'll take the blame if we do. So let's, Dame Heloan says. Absolutely not. Then speaks. Ugh, why? Did you have to be in the hallway just now? Dame Heloan asked. You both need to sleep well to grow tall. Isn't it your bedtimes? Then Deline replied. Who cares? Shushu and I are going to see what's happening. But if Windy sees that you're carrying me, I did 1,000 proper diagonal slashes today. Now I can carry you around wherever, to a new world and a brighter future. Let's go on a secret adventure. Come on, Shushu. Viscount Baldwin and Baron Elga are sitting in front of the Archduke. Viscount Baldwin said, Whatever the illness is, it has devastated an entire village, Baron Elga added. 2 other villages have already been destroyed by this disease. Viscount Baldwin speaks. The residents of our region are all dying. At this rate, it will surely spread to all the territories of the Archduchy, Baron Elga said. We must come up with measures at once. Viscount Baldwin speaks again. The progression of the disease is unbelievably fast. At first, people show symptoms of a high fever and vomiting. By the 3rd day, blood pours out from every part of their bodies. How should we deal with this? Archduke said. Since doctors are also unable to determine the cause, identifying it is the top priority. We must find the cause by any means necessary. Viscount Baldwin added, We beg of you to help us, Your Grace. Shuelina and Deline were watching from behind the door. Then Shuelina started thinking. This plague seems to be both highly contagious and fatal, and the symptoms are very familiar. Could it be? Then Deline said, That sounds like a serious illness. They whisper nervously. Archduke turns toward them, stern but calm. He said, We can see you, children. One moment. Viscount Baldwin says, Your Grace, he said. Del Shushu, Hiloran, I'm holding you responsible for this. Dame Hiloran replied, My apologies, Your Grace. Hearing this, Shuelina shout, No, Papa. It was just so noisy outside that I insisted on coming down here because I couldn't sleep. And so, it was my fault. Deline speaks. It's not Shushu's fault. If you're going to scold anyone, scold me. I actually kidnapped Shushu and brought her down here, Archduke asked. Will both of you stay next to me? They reply. Yes, Archduke added. Hiloran, make sure not to let them sway you next time. Hiloran replies. Yes, Your Grace. Archduke gestures toward the nobles. He said, Shushu, this is Viscount Baldwin, and Baron Elga. They are the lords of the eastern regions of the Archduchy, and this adorable little girl is my daughter. She speaks. I am Shuelina de Bylot. It's a pleasure to meet you. Please resume your discussion. I'll just stay here. They asked. How can she be so well-mannered and cute? Then Archduke said, Now let us continue. Baron Elga says, Although the cause is unknown, everyone who has caught the plague has bled to death. Blood has pooled throughout the villages like a lake. Hearing this, Shuelina lost in thought. It's Ruby Lake disease. Yes, I knew I had heard about it somewhere before. It's the incident where Azella solves the case with her spiritual powers and gets praised as a saint. But why is it happening already? Ruby Lake disease is an illness that occurs around the midpoint of the original novel, and it isn't supposed to occur in the Archduchy. The plague should break out in regions that favor the Imperial consort. Ruby Lake disease actually starts by ingesting poison. After tracking the source of the poison, Azella and Papa confront each other, and Papa is beheaded. That's when Windy becomes the new Archduke. It's Azella's seductive power. Papa is falsely accused and beheaded because of that spiritual power. She trembled with fear. Archduke saw her and asked, Shushu, Shushu, are you feeling sick? Kahil. Bring Baden here, she said. No, I'm fine. I'm just a little scared. Then Deline smiled and said, Shushu, you're still a baby, so of course you're scared. But don't worry so much. Shuelina clings to her father's sleeve. Then she asked, But what if you, Windy, and Papa get sick too? And will my friends at the orphanage be alright? Archduke replied, They're all fine. We will resolve this in no time. Hearing this, she began to think, Really? What if the damage to the territory worsens, and they come to find that the source is the Imperial Palace? What if they frame Papa? Will I lose another family? After a while, Archduke speaks. Shushu, I'll take you to your room. Or would you like to sleep with me tonight? She said. No, I'll go with Del. Deline added. I knew my Shushu would rely on me. Yes, she says. You just seem the least busy, Deline. The two lay down on the bed side by side, candlelight flickering. He speaks. Are you alright, Shushu? I didn't expect you to be so scared. Just lean on me and sleep well tonight. If the disease gets near, we'll drive it away. I'll protect you so that the disease doesn't come anywhere near you. Shall we sleep now? Hearing this, she started thinking. To be honest, I'm much more concerned about my family than about getting sick myself. Huh! But it's not a disease. It's poison. Even though the location has changed to the Archduchy, based on the extent of the damage, I'm sure that poison was dumped into the village wells, just like in the original novel. There are too many strange variables going on. It's also suspicious that the incident occurred years earlier than expected. Azella is still too young to have played a part in this. So how did the poison spread? Could it be? He shocked and asked. What's the matter, Shushu? She asked. Deline. If someone is being framed, who would be the real culprit? He asked again. What are you talking about all of a sudden? She replied. A book. I'm talking about a book I've been reading. Then he speaks. Isn't the person who first says, that person is the culprit, always the real culprit? Or it could be someone who benefits from accusing someone else. Hearing this, she lost in thought. Azella was the first to point out the culprit. So does this situation benefit the Imperial consort? Did she murder entire villages just for her own benefit? Does Azella become a saint through such a cruel scheme? I don't recall reading anything like that. Then she bit her thumb and said in herself, if the original event is orchestrated, then the culprit this time would be the same. So it's obvious that I'm the reason the incident is happening sooner. It's all because the Archduke adopted me. So, is it because they can't steal my spiritual power anymore? He asked. Shushu, are you alright? She asked. What should I do? Asking this, she began to think, is that why they're targeting the Archduke's territory? How can I resolve this? What should I do? He hugged Shuelina and said, don't worry, Shushu. I'll protect you no matter what. The next morning Fran came with a bottle of poison. Fran's hands trembled with fear and she said, my lady, she really took the bait. Taking the poison, she says, it's done. Explain to me exactly what happened, Fran. Fran speaks, my lady, I'm so scared. If I had known this about her, I would have never been friendly with her. She asked, so what happened? When Shuelina opens it, she thinking, this scent. This could lead to a disaster. This smell could be dangerous. I'll have to be more careful next time. Huh! The color, it's transparent now. Fran gently squeezes his hand, voice trembling. She told me to hide that vial in your vanity. That way you'd be thrown out. It's obviously something dangerous. If anyone sees it, it's a strange liquid, Shuelina asked. So you brought it to me because I asked you to go along with her? Fran replied. Yes. She warned me that if I didn't do it, she'd expose that I gossiped about you, my lady. She was unaware that you had already forgiven me, Shuelina asked firmly. Tell the professor that you did what she asked. If she tells you to do anything else, just do it and let me know, Fran added. Understood. Then Shuelina lost in thought. Why would she want to hide this in my room? Will I get thrown out of the manor because of this vial? What exactly is it? That's it. This must be Ruby Lake poison. After I was adopted, a plague spread throughout the Archduchy due to a certain poison. If this deadly poison is found in my room, be at least exiled, and at most executed. But they still need me for my spiritual power, so they wouldn't let me die. The fact that I'm a daughter of the Archduke, and that I'm still so young, would get me exiled rather than executed. And if the Imperial consort takes me away afterward, it would diverge from the original plot, but I would still end up back in her clutches. But why wasn't I imprisoned in her father's estate as a newborn? Why was I sent to an orphanage instead? Joining the Archduke's family makes it harder to steal my power. So they must have decided to release the hidden poison years earlier. After a while, Nina came and asked, what is that, my lady? I don't think it's one of your belongings, Shuelina replied. Fran brought it to me. Nina speaks. Is it perfume? You're still much too young to use that, Shuelina added. It's not perfume. It's actually poison, Nina says. Your Grace. Then she think. That would happen, huh, my lady? Shuelina said. Professor Lima Bain told Fran to hide it in my room. Nina asked. Huh? But what is it? Shuelina replied. I'm not sure either. Maybe I should go ask her. Then Nina asked. You want to go yourself? Should I go instead? Shuelina replied. No, I'll go by myself. Later, Shuelina knocks on the door and enters the professor's room. She said, yes, come in. Then Shuelina says, hello, Professor. She speaks. Lady Shuelina? This isn't where we study, and it's not even time for class yet. Shuelina speaks. I came to ask you something, Professor. Then Shuelina grabbed her hand. She pulls her hand back and speaks. Oh. I don't like being grabbed, I did that out of habit. I'm sorry, Shuelina rubbing her hand in reply. It's alright. Then Shuelina began to think. She doesn't have many belongings. Was her plan to release the poison and leave from the start? After a while she asked. Your suitcase is out. Are you going somewhere? She smiled and thinks. Does that mean she won't answer me? Shuelina said. Oh, right about this. I found this in my room, so I came to ask you what it is. She asked. I don't know. Why are you asking me? Shuelina replied. You don't know? I thought if anyone knew what it was, it would be you, Professor, she added. Well, I don't. Shuelina smiled and said, this poison smells exactly like the fragrance you use, Professor. Suddenly Fran came and called out, Professor, you can't even properly hide something in a child's room. Hearing this, she clenched his fist and says, how pathetic. I guess there's no choice now. Then she grabbed Shuelina's arm. She asked, what are you doing? How did you know this was poison? Shuelina asked. Did the Imperial consort send you? She said. Fran trembled with fear and reply. Yes, she speaks. Come over here, confiscate the bottle, and hold her arms back. Shuelina says. Fran? You? Fran asked. Professor, what are you trying to do? Then Shuelina thinks. The suitcase. It's big enough for me to fit. At that moment, Shuelina shouted loudly. You were planning to kidnap me from the start? I knew you were a bad person, she said. I'm a bad person. The bad one is you. After poisoning the Archduchy, you killed countless people and ran away. Because you're a bad little girl. Shuelina is now a murderer who has fled on her own. Fran, you're my accomplice, so that includes you too. Then she opened his suitcase, pulled out a small piece of cloth, and asked softly, what do you think you need to do to survive? Hearing this, Fran asked, what do you want me to do? She replied, the adopted daughter of the Archduke's family is cursed, so people started dying as soon as she became one of them. Spread that rumor, and in a few days testify that you found a bottle of poison in her room. Then Shuelina began to think. So the reason choose to meet with those who disliked me was to frame me for poisoning the Archduchy, she said. Now, it's time to disappear. Then suddenly, the Archduke flung the door open and shouted loudly. Shoo shoo, Dame Heloran said. Lady Shuelina's wrists. Wendy speaks. Shoo shoo. Are you okay? When I won't forgive you. We should have gotten rid of her when you cried, Shuelina replied. Wendy, I'm fine. Archduke grabbed Lima Bane by the neck and lifted her up. Then Dame Heloran said, Your Grace, Lady Shuelina is watching. Archduke asked angrily, how dare you threaten my daughter? She replied, please spare me. Archduke says, she can't die yet. Then Shuelina shouted loudly, Papa, the professor is the culprit behind all of the deaths. She might have an antidote. We also have to find out where else she spread the poison. Archduke said, Dame Heloran, take Shuelina to her room. Dame Heloran replied, yes, Your Grace. Hearing this, Fran asked, I'm innocent. Please help me. Please rely me, my lady. Shuelina speaks. Wendy, I'll take Fran with me, Wendy said. I know that's what you want, but I think we should imprison her this time. Shuelina says, but Fran was my spy who approached the professor at my request. You want to go yourself? Shuelina makes a plan. Fran and Nina stood in front of Shuelina. Then Nina asked, should I go instead? Shuelina replied, no, I'll go myself. But Nina, in about 10 minutes, bring Papa or Wendy to her room. And Fran, come into the room in about 5 minutes and pretend to be on her side. We need to find out what she's planning, they said, both of them. Yes, my lady, Shuelina said. She was just fulfilling her duty to me. She speaks while crying. My lady, Shuelina says. Fran, you can just do what you usually do. A little later, when Shuelina gets her hair brushed, then Fran smiled and said, what are you talking about? I've always done this, Shuelina asked. Is that so? Fran replied. Actually, that's not true. I thought you were going to abandon me earlier. She was just fulfilling her duty to me. Fran speaks. But you saved my life by covering up my wrongdoings. You could have easily punished me just for speaking ill of you. But you generously forgave me even though I only saw you as a benefit for me. You are really an angel. My lady, my angel, Shuelina said. That's not quite what happened. Suddenly, Wendy came and called out, Shoo shoo. How are you feeling? Shuelina stepped forward and asked, what about the antidote? Did she mention who she was working for? He replied. First, let's talk about you. Shushu replies, I'm really fine. He added, nothing happened. I just don't understand why this kind of thing keeps happening to you. For now, she won't say who she works for. Shushu says, that can't be. Wendy softly asked into her ear. But I know that it's the Imperial consort. Am I right? Shushu replied. Even if we know who is really behind this, we can't formally protest. Then she thought, if we find a way to counter the Imperial consort right away, we'd only be charged with insulting the Imperial family if we approach carelessly. He added, now what about the antidote? An antidote apparently doesn't exist for this poison. Shuelina asked. What? There's no antidote? Then how do we treat the poison? Hearing this, Windy clenched his fist and replied, she never considered the aftermath in the first place. Shushu think, how is that possible? She's part of the Imperial family. Doesn't she have a responsibility to look after the people? Innocent people are vomiting blood and dying. Even if they do live in the Archduchy, they're Imperial subjects too. Unforgivable. He speaks. Father will be here soon. He wants to decide on her punishment and take care of things first. Shushu added. He must be busy, he said. Shushu! You almost got kidnapped today. It's not good to be used to this. You can't be so indifferent, Shushu says. But, I just thought she was the culprit, and I told you and Papa about it beforehand, so I assumed I'd be fine. At that moment, Archduke came and asked, and what if it was a mage who had tried to abduct you? What if they had already escaped with you before I arrived? Shushu replied, Papa, it's not like that. Archduke stepped forward and asked, what if a blade had been pressed against your neck? What if your abductor had poured poison into your mouth as a last resort? You could have been seriously harmed in that situation. Shushu replied, but thanks to that, we got the information, didn't we? If I hadn't taken action, no one would have been suspicious of Professor Bain. Then she thinks, I was just trying to save people's lives. Hearing this, Archduke shocked and said, no one would want their young daughter to gather information this way if you had gotten hurt or disappeared. Seeing the Archduke upset, Shushu thinks, Papa is so upset. This isn't what I wanted. I just didn't want him to struggle. I cared more about that than saving everyone. Shushu clenches his fist and said, I was wrong. Archduke smiled and said, come here. Shushu says, Papa, I'm so sorry. The Duke softly embraces Shushu. At night, the Archduke, holding a book in his hand, sat on Shuelina's bed. Then he said, you must have been very scared, so let's go to bed early tonight. Piaf will be able to find herbs today and cure the illness, right? Then he opened the book and began to read aloud. Wouldn't that be nice? Paith the piglet sniffed around, searching for herbs. He smelled sweet scents, sour scents, and various other scents that brushed past his nose. Hearing this, she woke up and thought, huh? Wait a minute. Brushed past his nose. Oink, just like a scent that passes by without inspirit. Could we make the poison in people's bodies do the same thing? Archduke said. Shushu? She continues to think. If the poison is no longer in the body, it could be like it had never been ingested. And that would make the pain go away too. Then she turns over and continues thinking. To safely extract it from the body, Archduke saw her and think, what is she staring at? Shuelina's eyes fell on the bottle resting on the table. She stared at it quietly, lost in thought. Yes. We could wrap the poison like that and let it out. The Archduke suddenly reaches out and grabs the bottle from the table. If Shuelina's spiritual power can turn imagination into reality, then I can manifest anything I want as long as I know what it is in detail. Then she said, Papa, please give that to me. He asked, what is this? She replied, it's an important tool. She began to think again. After I use the poison I have as a medium to trace the poison in the body, I can make the poison leave the body. The object to trap the poison and extract it should be small enough to be ingested, and it should ideally be round so it can hold the poison. Fortunately, this looks quite sturdy. It should be fine to swallow. At that moment she speaks. You can give this to those who have ingested the poison. It will separate the poison from a person's body and expel it. You should hurry and give this to the people, he said. Shushu. Suddenly she lays her head in the Archduke's lap and speaks. Papa, everyone will get better, right? And I hope you won't have a hard time anymore now, he replied. Yes, thanks to my daughter, I'm not having a hard time. She asked. Really, he replied. My little girl, who isn't even fully grown yet, is worrying so much about her papa. She added, I don't mind. I'm glad I could save everyone. The next morning, Shushu picked up the newspaper and began reading. This turned out absolutely amazing. The young lady of House Bylot saves the Archduchy. Franz smiled and said, choosing the dress with a large ribbon was a brilliant move. I truly have a great eye. Nina speaks. You really look like a doll, my lady, she said. I truly have a great eye. Then she lost in thought. With this article, my existence has been announced to the world. Even I can't deny that. With this article, my existence has been announced to the world. This tells the story of how I helped create the beads, but it excludes any mention of my spiritual power. I have suddenly become the Archduke's genius daughter. Furthermore, now that Papa's effort to resolve the situation has come to light, the mysterious illness is cured. I've heard that the family's reputation within the Archduchy has improved compared to before, Nina said. Did you know? House Bylot has bought a huge amount of newspapers, Fran says. That's right. The newspaper publisher must have been really pleased. Your article has become so popular that they decided to print extra copies. Then Shushu speaks. We only need enough for everyone to read, so why did we buy so many? Fran says. It contains an article about you, my lady. So it seems we're collecting them. I heard that all of those newspapers went into the rooms of the Archduke and the young masters. Shushu thinks, does this have something to do with that conversation yesterday? Everyone was seated at the dining table when Wendy began to ask, is buying the newspaper company going well? Archduke replied, of course it is. Hearing this, Shushu lost in thought. Are they going into the newspaper business? Are they thinking of purchasing a newspaper company for my cake? Seriously, everyone is being so excessive. Then Shushu asked, Nina, Fran, can you make me look really, really pretty today? Nina replied, oh my, certainly. Fran replied, where are you going? I'll make sure you look stunning. The next day, they go to the market. Shushu smiled and said, Papa, come this way. He speaks. If we don't see all of the market today, we can just come back another time, so don't run. Shushu asked, really? Then she began to think. Oh, but I know how busy Papa is. I know that he reads to me every night, and then goes back to work. He said, Shushu, I'm a strong knight who doesn't succumb to tiredness. Hearing this, she started thinking, that's right. We're celebrating that we solved this last incident. At least for today, I should really enjoy my time with Papa. After a while, they enter a shop. Shopkeeper said, welcome? Then she thought, what is it about Papa that has her shaking like this? He's not a villain. He's a kind person. Even though he has a small amount of his family curse, it shouldn't be that much of a problem. Is Papa used to this kind of thing? I wonder how many people have stayed away from him. So fac. He looks completely fine. He asked, what's wrong, Shushu? Do you want Papa to read the name of a candy for you? She think again. Let's just buy what I want and leave quickly. Today is just for the two of us. There's no time to feel bad. Shopkeeper said, please let me know if there are any specific items you want. Hearing this, she think again. Mint flavor isn't too sweet, so I think Papa would like it too. Then she asked, Papa, how about that one? He asked, would you like to taste it? He ate it and said, it's not bad. She thought, I think he likes it. At that moment she speaks. Please pack all the mint-flavored candies you have. Shopkeeper says, pardon. All of it? She smiled and says, please pack some to take with us and send the rest to the Archduke's manor right away. Then she thought again. I saved up all the pocket money I got from Lucy just for this moment. She recalls that Lucy said, I'm so proud of you, my lady. When she walked out of the shop, the shopkeeper said, thank you. Please come again. She speaks. Papa, I just want to thank you. This is for you, Papa. It's a present. Shushu presented the box of candy to the Archduke and began to think. I've really wanted to give Papa the first thing I ever bought by myself. Then she said, please have some while you work. It'll wake you up. Suddenly, a man collided, and the box fell. Shushu saw him and thought, huh? Why do I feel like I've seen this person before? Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, as it really helps our channel grow. Thanks. Then Shuelina lost in thought. For some reason, I have a bad feeling. I'll just pick up the candy first. I can't move my feet. Why is this happening? Could he be someone Shuelina has met before? After a while, Archduke said, just a moment, Shuelina. Papa will pick it up. Then the Archduke stepped forward to lift it. Shuelina thought again. And for some reason, I really hate this scene. Archduke picked it up and whispered something into its ear. Shuelina stands there, watching this, and says to herself, what are they talking about? Do they know each other? Archduke turned back, lifted Shuelina and said, Shushu, dear daughter, I'll buy you something else, so let's go. Hearing this, Shuelina looked back and then nodded her head. The Emperor was sitting in his office, looking at a piece of papers. Then he lost in thought. After I heard that the Archduke caught one of the Imperial consort's pawns, I sent someone to the Archduchy to find out why she sent someone there in the first place. The first report detailed that the spy had visited a certain orphanage, specifically, one that only raised girls. That was when a terrible thought came to mind. I thought Shelv, the child I had lost, was a son, but then I learned that Shelv could have been a daughter. After that, I gathered all of the rumors regarding a 6-year-old girl who was at the orphanage the spy had been to, and recently adopted by the Archduke's family. Emperor throws the papers into the air in frustration. At that very moment, an informer rushes in and says, "Your Majesty, the results of the investigation show that her name is Shuelina." Then Emperor thought again. I guess the child's name wouldn't be Shelv. A boy would have been named Shelv, and a girl would have been Shuelina. My wife, Herase, and I had agreed on that. I don't know how the lost child came to be called Shuelina, but she had been living with the name we wanted to give her all along. But still, I couldn't find you. If only I had found you and protected you better, you wouldn't have had to grow up in an orphanage. With those thoughts in mind, I could no longer sit still. Then suddenly, the Emperor rose in anger. He rushed out almost running and went straight to the carriage, climbing inside at once. At that moment, Emperor lost in thought, I headed recklessly toward the Archduchy to meet my child as quickly as possible. If I had found you, what would I have done? Would I have called out your name? Would I have embraced you? Or would I have told you that I was your father? And when you saw me, what would you have said? Would you have told me that you had always wanted to meet me? Or would you have resented me for finding you so late? I could tell at first sight. Yes, this is my daughter, Archduke said. Papa will pick it up. Hearing this, Emperor think, Papa, I was so happy that I had finally found you that I had forgotten you were adopted into the Archduke's family. The years I couldn't protect you pierced my heart yet again because of those 2 syllables. Archduke picks up the box and asks, Your Majesty, have you been well? Emperor smiled and replied, It's been too long, Archduke Bylot. I wasn't expecting to see you here. Saying this, he think, this is just the type of cold defiance I expected from Archduke Bylot. I'm not sure how he came to adopt my child, but it should be no trouble getting Shuelina back with Archduke Bylot's cold personality. Just wait a little longer, Shuelina. Your father will bring you back home, Archduke said. Shuelina is my daughter. Hearing this, Emperor think again. Does he know that Shuelina is of Imperial blood? And he's acting like this despite knowing that? Is he saying he won't give me back my child? Emperor clenched his fist and said angrily, That child is an Imperial princess of Imperial blood. Archduke replies, If that's true, then why did you let her live in misery for so long? For 6 long years, you couldn't find, or even protect this child. At that moment, Emperor lost in thought. My child has lived a miserable life. The orphanage appeared abundant and warm, and all the children looked happy. So even though Shuelina grew up in an orphanage, I thought she must have been happy at least. Archduke stepped forward, went close to his ear, and asked, Are you planning to claim custody of her now? Archduke turned back, lifted Shuelina and said, Shoo, dear daughter. I'll buy you something else, so let's go. Shuelina looked back. Emperor saw her and thought, Please don't leave, Shuelina. Please, just this once. Please look this way just one more time. Emperor stood there, heavy-hearted, his eyes fixed on Shuelina. She laughed joyfully beside the Archduke, as if no care in the world could touch her. They go to a candy shop and the Archduke gives Shuelina a candy, she says. Papa, try this, Archduke asked. Should I? Shuelina said. This flower pin is so pretty, Archduke asked. Shall we buy it? Emperor saw her and thought, You look so happy, Shuelina. Shuelina says, Ooh, cotton candy. Emperor clenched his fist and thought again. But you aren't in my arms. You're in his. Who would have believed my child was dead when she's so obviously alive? I was told my child had died, and they even changed her gender to prevent me from finding her. I always thought the Imperial consort was never worthy of my regard. But even Amelia, he raised doctor for 10 years, lied to me. I trusted you just as much as Herase did. Emperor recalls that, she said. I'm certain it was a prince. The Imperial consort said that the prince was stillborn, but the truth is he was alive. Since Her Majesty passed away during childbirth, a maid who was taking care of the prince told the news of his death to the Imperial consort at dawn. After that, the funeral was hastily conducted according to the 3-day custom. 3-day custom. A child who dies immediately after birth must be cremated within 3 days to return to the gentle embrace of divinity. After Lucas and I sensed that the child's spiritual power had manifested, I had no doubt in Amelia's claim that Shelv was born alive. But if all of this is part of your conspiracy with the Imperial consort, I will track you down and kill you. I have finally found the child I had desperately sought for 6 years, and I vow to reclaim her, at all cost. The Imperial Princess Azella hosts a grand party. Courtiers and guests are mingling. Someone guest said, "This is my first time at a party of the Imperial Princess." Another guest says, "Wow! It's all so beautiful." Someone said, "Your Highness, you look absolutely lovely today." Azella replies, "Thank you. You look as pretty as a flower today as well." Then she lost in thought. "This is so annoying. I haven't held a party in ages, but father had to leave the palace today. It would have been nice if my brother were here too. Then everyone would have looked at us more as an adorable and lovely pair of siblings." Then Azella recalls that a lady speaks. How can she be so charming? Your sibling bond is truly remarkable. She smiles faintly and continues her thoughts. That would have silenced the fools who were agitated by father's decree about finding the one who manifested spiritual power. I can't believe someone else was born with the spiritual power I should possess. Thankfully, I had the brilliant. But what should I do now? Now that father has made that decree, if that greedy child appears in the imperial capital, I'll have to get along with her no matter how sad and unfair it is. I'm told commoners are generally greedy and lack intelligence, so as a kind and elegant imperial princess, I'd have no choice but to take care of her. Being the perfect princess is truly exhausting. The party hall Azella prepares to perform. Well then, I guess I'll start what I've prepared. Guests are clapping. May brings a bird in a cage, and Azella, pointing towards it, says, "Everyone, since it's been a while since we've all come together, I'd like to show you all something delightful." Then she opens the cage and says, "Don't come out yet. Sing in a lovely voice first." A girl said, "I can't believe I'm seeing her use her spiritual power with my own eyes. How fascinating! Her Highness is just like a forest spirit. She's so beautiful." Azella places the bird on her hand and says, "Now go and deliver my gift to the person whose cheers are the loudest." The bird delivered the gift and flew away, while everyone was watching it. Suddenly, the bird went to a girl and perched on her hand. Then she smiled and speaks. "Wow! It came to me." "Thank you, Your Highness." The bird returned to Azella after delivering the gift. Azella asked, "Speaking of which, have you heard about the person my father has been looking for lately?" Suddenly, a boy stepped forward and replied, "Yes. A new person with imperial blood who manifested spiritual power has been found, right? This is a great fortune for the Empire." Hearing this, she thinking, he can't even grasp why I'm bringing up this topic. How exactly is this fortunate for the Empire? Should I embarrass him so he can never show his face in front of me again? After a while, she asked, "Isn't it quite strange, though? Out of nowhere, an imperial family member with no history just appears." Suddenly, the boy's drink spilled because Azella's dress touched it. She asked, "Is it perhaps a distant relative?" Then she smiled and said, "Anyway, I heard that spiritual power was quite remarkable." Boy said, "Mother," a little asked, "did she not see him?" "Is that so?" She smiled and speaks. "Given that this person hasn't shown up until now, I assume it isn't a noble, right? An imperial family member who grew up among commoners. How unfortunate. Once he or she arrives at the imperial palace, I'll have to keep them close and take care of them." This distant imperial family member grew up as a commoner without knowing their background. Perhaps they are an illegitimate child born from the overindulgence of a noble. I cannot allow such a child to be compared to me. That child is ultimately just a commoner who grew up like a vagrant. She speaks. The child must have grown up miserably, so I hope I can meet and help them soon. A lilt girl says, "You truly are like an angel, Your Highness. How can your heart be just as beautiful as you are?" Hearing this, she lost in thought. Even if that child comes to the imperial palace in the future, everyone will think of her as the commoner princess and treat her as less than, won't they? I'm starting to feel a little better now. In White Rose Manor, Shuelina said, "Nina, I want to go to House Bylot's archives." Nina asked, "The archive?" Shuelina replied, "Yes, I want to study the history of the family." Then she began to think. According to the novel, the imperial consort and Azella will commit even more atrocities in the future, and they will elevate their status by resolving the issues themselves. I have the biggest advantage of knowing the original plot of the story. If I utilize this advantage to accelerate or intercept the means of their malice, like this time, Azella and the imperial consort will lose their chance to build a positive reputation. and the Archduke's family will naturally accumulate prestige. If my memory serves me right, the next incident will be one where a white beast appears in the Forest of Beasts near the Archduke's manor. I need to find information about the Forest of Beasts. Then Shuelina stood up and says, I'll just be reading here, so you can do something else or take a break, Nina. Nina asked, Are you sure you don't need me around, my lady? Shuelina smiled and replied, Yes. Just come back for me before dinner. Nina bowed and added, Yes, my lady. Please call me any time if you need anything. Then Shuelina asked, Shall I start looking for some books now? Let's go. Then she goes to the library and, looking at some books in the cabinet, she began to think. Everything has been organized sequentially from the time of the first ancestor. It would be easier to find what I needed if it had been in alphabetical order, but this is pretty weird. I'm certain that a maid teaches Shuelina how to read after she's taken by the Marquis in the original story, so then how can I read now? It's as if I have muscle memory. She shakes her head vigorously and speaks. Oh, whatever. That's not important right now. The Forest of Beasts comes first. Suddenly, a book falls from the wardrobe to the ground and opens, and seeing this, Shuelina thinks. A book just drops suddenly. Is someone here? She clenched her fist, step forward and think again. I need to make sure. There could be a thief. When she looks in the wardrobe, she sees the same mysterious figure that had appeared in her room. She said to herself, Oh, his eyes. It's that child again. Then she asked, You again? Who are you? When she ran and looked at the other side of the wardrobe, it had vanished. At that moment, she lost in thought. He's gone again. Could he be a ghost? Ghosts aren't real. I'm not afraid. Ghosts aren't scary. They can't possibly exist. You're not a ghost. Suddenly, her eyes fell on a book on which was written, A crack to another world appeared in the forest. She thinks and then picks up the book. I've never read about the existence of another world, and if this book is here in the archive, it must be important, right? This might contain some important information. She sits at the table and starts reading the book, opening it. A crack to another world has appeared in the forest. Mana tends to flow from concentrated areas to less concentrated ones, so the mana from the entire world is continuously being drawn into the crack to another world. Then she began to think. This is it. The forest mentioned here must be the Forest of Beasts. But did that kid drop this book on purpose? Why does he keep helping me? Hey, are you still watching? She said. Thank you for your help. As mana gathered, the forest became a place where magic was easy to use but hard to sense. Additionally, plants and animals have undergone transformations into magical beasts. It is similar to the phenomenon in which a human accumulates enough mana in their body to become a transcendent being. But as if there are invisible walls around the forest, the beasts cannot leave. But during the week leading up to the New Year's festival, the beasts come charging out uncontrollably. This is something House Bylot must take responsibility for. It's just referred to as the forest in this, but I think I can assume this is the Forest of Beasts. But why does House Bylot have to be responsible for it? Is it a burden that the ruler of the Archduchy has to bear? I may not know the details, but I think I understand why the Imperial consort chose the Forest of Beasts as the crime scene. With so much mana gathered there, casting spells would be easy. According to the novel, the magical beast that appears in the forest resembles a gigantic tiger. But if it is that big, Papa would have subdued it by now. It must appear after the last hunt, so no one is prepared for it. Normally, beasts don't appear until after the New Year's festival. Everyone must let their guard down in the future, which will lead to even greater losses. Should I ask about conducting a hunt even after the New Year's festival? But unless I reveal the future to him, he'll ask me why I'm making such a request. She clenched her fist and speaks. If they're going to fight, they should do so in the Imperial Palace. Why should the people in the Archduchy suffer the consequences of their crimes? Then she asked to herself, what happened to their imperial duties? After a while she said, It's okay. I still have time. Then she closed the book and began to think. I'm the only one who knows what the beast looks like, so I need to figure something out. As soon as Shuelina opens the door to step outside, Fran is standing right in front of her. Fran said, My lady? Shuelina asked. Oh, Fran. I said not to wait for me. Didn't Nina tell you? Fran smiled and replied, But it's my job to serve you, my lady. There's still some time before dinner, So what will you do? Oh, you don't need to do that, my lady, Shuelina said. I'll just take this. Then she lost in thought. I was thinking of looking into it tomorrow since it's already late. I guess it's best to be prepared as soon as possible, right? After a while, Shuelina asked. Fran, could you call Wendy for me, please? Wendy knocked on the door and then entered and said, Shoo shoo, it's Wendy. I'm coming in for a moment. I got the documents you requested from the Information Guild. Shoo shoo speaks. That was really quick. It's only been 3 hours since I mentioned it. Thank you, Wendy, he added. You asked me, Shoo shoo? So of course I'd help you. This should contain all the information about the mages from the Magic Tower who have visited the Archduchy. Then he asked, Do you want this information because of her? Shoo shoo took the documents and replied, Yes. Even though Professor Bain has been caught, the real culprit is a member of the Imperial family, so we can't arrest her. The Imperial consort has spread poison in the Archduchy. And since she knows I'm here, she might do something else. She also uses mages as her pawns, so I just thought I'd check. Hearing this, he lost in thought. I noticed it during the Luna Bane incident as well, but Shoo shoo is very proactive. If something happens again, she'll try to resolve it on her own. That's too dangerous. He sat beside her and speaks. Shoo shoo, if you're curious about something due to some reason other than studying, I think it would be better to stay away from such dangerous matters. It's fine to be interested, but you mustn't take things into your own hands. Father and I can protect you, Shoo shoo said, but it's my responsibility too, he says. I get that, but if you get hurt, it will make everyone in our family sad. So if anything happens, tell me. We're family, so protecting you is the most important thing. Understand? Shoo shoo replied. Yes. Then Shoo shoo opened the document, and a Magic Tower report came out, which she began to read. The White Magic Tower is part of the Imperial Consort's faction. White mages primarily use healing magic, so what are they doing in the Archduchy? Considering the timing, the Imperial Consort must have sent someone to create magical beasts in the Forest of Beasts. The book I saw in the archive stated that when mana accumulates, plants and animals transform into magical beasts. But there isn't enough time to create beasts right after the hunt finishes, and creating them during the hunt would blow their cover. Imagining the mage's plan, Mage speaks. The time for the hunt is approaching. Get the hunting squad ready. We've turned the beasts into magical beasts with all of this mana without being discovered. Let's make magical beasts with all of this mana. They must have made the transformation gradual so that it completes after the hunt, and then they'll attack the Archduchy, she thinks. I need to tell Papa about this. Then she writes, How to get to the Forest of Beasts. She takes a deep breath and began to think. Would Papa and my brothers allow a little kid like me to go to the forest by myself? And I can't sneak out because of the promise I made to Wendy earlier. Is there any way to have Papa and my brothers come with me? Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Nina came inside and asked, My lady, are you not tired? Shuelina replied, Nina. Then Nina stepped forward and speaks. You were reading in the archive earlier, and now you're sitting at your desk again. You must really enjoy studying. It's great to study, but please don't push yourself too hard. Hearing this, Shuelina startled and thought, If I say I want to study the forest, Papa might give me permission. Then Shuelina asked, That's it, Nina, could you get me some paper and gemstone powder for invitations? Later at dinner, Shuelina said. Papa, Wendy Deline, Archduke said. Shoo shoo, you have to finish your plate. You need to eat well to grow tall and healthier, Shuelina added. Oh, I'm already full, and actually, I have something I want to give you. She squeezed her hand and began to think. I'm really nervous about doing something I'm not used to. Then she said, My birthday is coming soon, and I made these because I want us all to spend time together. After saying this, she thinks, I said it. I asked for something for my birthday. This is the first time I'm asking anyone to celebrate my birthday. What do I do? I'm so nervous. They will accept these, right? Archduke grabbed his letter. Hearing this, Wendy shocked and asked, Shoo shoo, it's your birthday? At that moment, Deline asked, Shoo shoo, is your birthday on New Year's Day? Archduke opened the invitation and began to read it. My birthday is on January 1st. Please celebrate with me. From Shoo shoo, Shoo shoo said. It's probably not the day I was born, but I think it counts because that's the day I was found at the orphanage. Archduke smiled and asked, What a beautiful invitation, Shoo shoo. Hearing this, Shoo shoo thought, he seems to like it. I'm so glad. Wendy speaks. I wonder what the most luxurious gift in the world is. Then Deline stood up and says, let's hold a grand birthday party. Archduke speaks. Let's skip the New Year's festival for Shushu's birthday. Hearing all this, Shushu thought, their reaction is a bit excessive, though. She was surprised and said, just spending time together will be enough, but there is something I'd like to receive from everyone. Archduke asked. What might that be? She replied. I've only recently joined the Archduke's family, right? So I'd like to study our family history. Because I want to know all about my roots. Maid speaks. Our little lady is just too precious. Oh my, then she said to herself. If they react like that, I think they'll let me. She speaks. About the forest of beasts in the archive today, so I'd like for us to take a visit together. Deline said. Absolutely not. That place is much too dangerous. Wendy says. You can't go until the hunt is over. Shoo. Nina added. My lady, it's extremely dangerous for you. She shouted loudly. Please calm down, everyone. I promise I'll only visit the entrance where it's safest. And everyone will protect me, won't they? At that moment she thinks. And I'll protect everyone else too. Pretty please, Papa? My target is Papa. I only have to convince him. Archduke Papa, having raised only sons, has no defenses against daughters. Hardly ever experienced a daughter's cuteness. In the end, easy target. Then Archduke speaks. Well, since it's the first gift that Shushu has ever asked for, and it's not like she's asking us to wipe out the entire forest. She's just asking to take a look, so why not? She said. Yay! I'm so excited. Hearing this, Wendy. Father, Archduke added, I've decided to raise Shushu by giving her whatever she wants. Shushu can do whatever she wants as long as I am watching over her, but you must never wander off on your own. You must stay right by my side. Understood? She hugged him and said, Yes. I'll make sure to stay right by your side. After a while they all set out to go there. Upon reaching the glittering white snow, they came to a halt. All around, a blanket of snow stretched endlessly, and a cold silence hung in the air. Shuelina saw this and began to think, I'm going to protect this place for sure. Papa, Wendy, Del. I'll protect you all, Archduke asked. What do you think, Shushu? It's not what you expected, is it? I thought I sensed something outside the entrance, but coming inside makes me feel even weirder. It feels like someone is calling out to me, and my head is pounding. Wendy asked. Shushu, what's wrong? She smiled and replied. Oh, it's nothing. Then she thinks again. It must be my imagination. I shouldn't worry them for no reason. Huh? What was that? Suddenly, a big-sized cat moved toward her, and Wendy said, Shushu, it's here. Shushu was startled for a moment, her eyes widening in surprise. Suddenly, the cat leapt onto her with incredible speed, its tiny claws brushing against her. She think, a cat. The cat was angrily growling. Wendy swiftly caught it. It struggled, but Wendy held it firmly, keeping it safe. Then Archduke asked, Are you okay, Shushu? Shushu replied, Yes, I'm fine. But I don't think this cat was trying to attack me, Archduke said, but if it keeps licking you with its rough tongue, it will hurt your skin. Suddenly, cat fell silent. Seeing this, Shushu thinks, that cat is still too small to be called a magical beast, so that must be why it wasn't killed during the hunt. Seeing it calm, Wendy thought, something isn't right. Then the cat leaps onto Shushu again. Shushu said, No, get off her right now, Archduke said. Shushu, I can't really hear anything because of its fur. Then Shuelina lost in thought. This strange energy oddly feels familiar. It's similar to my spiritual power yet different. Could this be something Shuelina sensed before? If it is, I must be sensing someone who can distort and use my extracted spiritual power. This cat could belong to Azella. This could easily be part of the Imperial consort and Azella's plan. Archduke stepped forward and asked, Shushu, are you all right? She replied, Yes. I'm fine. Then she asked, But Papa, is it possible for mana and spiritual power to coexist in someone's body? The cat has let go of Shushu on its own. Archduke replied, No, spiritual power and mana cannot coexist inside one body. If they are together, they would clash, leading to the person's death. Hearing this, Shuelina began to think, Then, what will happen to this little one? She came over to Shuelina and started showing affection. Spiritual power is surrounding its heart, and mana is accumulating inside its heart. If its spiritual power isn't released, it won't have much time left to live. In the original story, the Imperial consort does everything she can to become the Empress. She steals everything from Shuelina to give to her daughter, and does everything she can to ruin her. On the other hand, Azella becomes a saint. After making numerous achievements, she clenched her fist and thought, regardless of her wish to become the Empress, and no matter how much she wants to achieve, this is too cruel. This cat is just like me. The Empress will turn into a beast so it can kill countless people, but then it will end up hurting its own body. The spiritual power that made the cat like this ultimately came from me, so I want to take responsibility for this cat. I'll imagine this spiritual power leaving the cat's body. My head feels like it's going to burst. Wendy stepped forward and asked, "Did you use your power again?" "You mustn't do that," Deline said. "Your face is so pale." "Shoo shoo." Then she recalls that, Igraine said, "If you use your powers excessively, beyond what your body can handle, you will collapse again." She thinks, is it impossible to extract spiritual energy that has already been absorbed into the body? What should I do? How can I help this little cat? Unlike Ruby Lake poison, it's hard to get rid of the spiritual power by separating it. In that case, I'll have to cloak it. May this ribbon cloak the spiritual power in this cat, so that it doesn't get hurt. I knew my body wouldn't be able to handle this, but still. It worked, Deline said. How adorable. Then suddenly, the cat shrinks. Archduke asked, "Did you do this?" She replied, "I felt spiritual energy inside of this cat. It felt similar to mine, but it was a little different." Hearing this, Archduke thought, is this tied to the Imperial consort? Then he said, the perpetrator may still be around here. Suddenly, the soldiers arrived and bowed. Archduke shouted loudly, "Search the area. Capture any suspicious individuals, especially if they're mages." Soldiers said, "Yes, Your Grace." She thinks, I hope they'll find someone. Then she asked, "Do you have any idea where the person who did this to you might be?" Then suddenly, the cat started moving toward the jungle. She said, "Huh! I think the cat knows something." Then she started running after it. Wendy saw her and shouted loudly, "Shoo shoo, it's dangerous to run so suddenly." Archduke speaks. "You promised not to act on your own," she said. "I'm sorry. But first, I'm really tired." The cat goes into the jungle and stops. She says, "There's no one there," he said. "I will see whether something is here or not." Then, he drew a sword and said, "Among the basic spells, there is one that grants invisibility." Behind the tree, a mage in a white hoodie was hiding, and he fell down in fright. He saw her and said, "And moving like this causes the spell to break." Judging by the color of his robes, he seems to belong to the White Magic Tower. At that moment she think, the mage is escaping. I won't let him get away like this. She magically throws a net at him. Mage asked, "Ah, what is this?" Archduke placed his hand on her head and said, "Impressive, shoo shoo. Since you've captured a suspicious person, you must be rewarded." Then he stepped forward and says, "But before that, Windy Dell, watch closely. I will show you how to deal with someone who dares to engage in suspicious activities in our lands." She lost in thought. Normally, who would call anyone as good as us a bunch of villains? That's what I would think. But Papa definitely appears to be a villain right now. I need to change people's impression of him. But I like it. This way, we'll be safer. She asked. "Wait a moment, Papa. Can I do something I want for my prize?" Then he replied, "Then what would you like? Should I destroy the magic tower so they can never harm you again?" Using this man's neck as a declaration of war would be perfect. She speaks. "Well, I don't have any desire to forgive this person, but I think there might be a better way to use him. Could I whisper my idea to you?" Then she whispers something in his ear. He said, "Fine, let's do it your way." At that moment she thought, if I'm part of a villain's family, I have no choice but to become one too. They take him with them and then lock him in jail. Suddenly a knight came, bowed respectfully and said, "Greetings, Your Grace." Archduke says, "You've done well." Knight added, "Not at all, Your Grace." Archduke began to think, normally, I'd have a soldier monitor him, not a knight, but I can't afford to be careless about anything related to Shushu. Archduke recalls that Shushu said, "I think we can set a trap." Then he thinks again, we can retaliate for this attack. She is undoubtedly the lovely daughter of House Bylot. After a while, Archduke went near the mage and said, "The one who ordered you to do this must be contacting you soon." Mage replied, "Yes. I will be contacted about 2 weeks before the new year." Archduke curious and asked, "Then who was it?" Mage replied, "The one who ordered me to come here was the elder of the magic tower." Hearing this, he thought, but it must have been orchestrated by the Imperial consort, its true ruler. That tutor and this mage never mentioned the Imperial consort's name at all, so it seems she is intentionally avoiding implication. Without solid evidence, bringing the Imperial consort to trial is still impossible. Archduke speaks calmly. If you are contacted, let them know that things are going smoothly. Your role is to reassure them. Mage replied again. Yes, Your Grace, Archduke said. I will come again tomorrow. Then he thinking, it seems that he's damaged his mana hole, so he can't perform duties as a mage. But if I want revenge for what Shushu has gone through, this is not enough. As soon as he stepped outside, a knight was standing in front of him. Knight bowed and said, Greetings, Your Grace. Archduke asked, Have you been checking the apparatus that my daughter set up near the entrance of the Forest of Beasts? Knight replied, Yes, Your Grace. Archduke speaks. She really is impressive. Her power is great enough as it is, and to think she'd use it like that. Hearing this, Knight thought, that's the 10th time he's boasted about the same thing today. Then he replied, Yes, Your Grace. Lady Shuelina is truly remarkable. Archduke speaks. When the mage finishes contacting the magic tower, tie him in front of the apparatus that my daughter made. Knight asked, Is it enough to just tie him to it? Archduke replied, The wind will spread the smell of his blood and secretions. Then the scattered magical beasts will catch the scent and swarm toward the smell. Thanks to Shushu, the hunt will be easier than usual, so I probably won't be needed this time, right? Knight replies, Why yes, Your Grace. Then he think, But is it really fine for you to be absent? This is the first and foremost duty of the Archduke. Archduke said, Shushu's birthday is on January 1st. I've decided to be present for that no matter what. Of course I intend to attend her 2nd, 3rd, and even 20th and 99th birthday. I will be there for all of them. Hearing this, Knight thought, Couldn't you just say you'll attend all of her birthdays? Then Archduke says, If any soldier can't even catch beasts that come through one entrance, remove the epaulets on their shoulders. I don't need such weak knights in my order. Knight replied, Yes, Your Grace. I will work harder for Lady Shuelina's birthday. The next day, they was sitting quietly. Shuelina speaks. Since its fur is white, snowy sounds nice. Snowy? Could you try calling it that then? Snowy, snowy. Do you like it? Deline asked. It seems it doesn't like it, Shuelina said. Del, it seems it doesn't like it, Deline added. I wouldn't like being called Snow either. It's too one-dimensional. Then the Archduke came inside and says, Windy Del Shushu. Windy said, You seem to be having a great time. Shuelina speaks. We were trying to name the cat. Kitty, you can't do that. You need to get along with Papa. There. That's a good kitty. Are you reflecting? Now come here. Oh, Papa. Are you all right? It means no harm. It's just a cat, Windy says. That seemed malicious to me, Windy said. It stepped on Father, she asked. How about you name this kitty Papa? Then he thinks. I think I loved you from the moment you called me Papa. If that's the case for me, does that mean she loved me from the first time she saw me? After a while she said, The kitty might like you if you gave it a name. Hearing this, he asked, Then how about we call it Meowie, since it goes meow? Windy says, That's much better than Snowy, she asked. Meowie. Do you like it, Meowie? Deline asked. What's wrong with Snowy? Then she asked. Papa, can we keep Meowie? Hearing this, Deline thought, Look at how it's changed its attitude. That thing is not a cat. Then she added, I want to live with Meowie. Please, Archduke began to think. Even though Shushu has sealed its power, I wonder if it being a part of the Imperial consort's scheme will be a problem. She asked. Meowie, I promised to always protect you, so will you be my cat? He smiled and replied, Yes, let's live together. I will protect all of you. The Duke summons the attendants. Then maids knocked on the door and entered. Fran asked, Did you summon us, Your Grace? Archduke said, The reason I've suddenly called you here is. Deline stood up and shouted loudly, Tell us what Shushu loves at once. Then Windy said, Del. How can you interrupt Father when he is speaking? Fran smiled and said confidently, The young lady loves pies filled with chocolate the most. Then she thought, She once gave me a beautiful chocolate pie as a reward, and she always picks it first whenever it's served as a snack. So this is definitely the correct answer. She says, Oh no, am I wrong? Nina stepped forward, bowed and speaks. I beg your pardon, Your Grace. May I ask the reason you are inquiring about Lady Shuelina's preferences? Hearing this, Archduke added, Shushu's birthday is coming soon, so I want to make sure my daughter has the happiest day possible. Hearing this, Deline startled and said, And for that, we need a truly perfect birthday gift, Nina asked. Her ladyship's birthday is New Year's Day, correct? Fran lost in thought. I guess I'll give her a chocolate pie then. Then Nina said, I heard we were preparing a party for her on that day. Wendy speaks. Plans have changed, so we're thinking of holding the party a little earlier, Nina says. Is that so? Then I'd say the young lady prefers. Then she think. Wait, what does she like? She loves her family, Meowie, her doll Tutu, and delicious snacks. Aside from that, she hasn't really shown strong preferences for anything. How can I not know this about the lady I serve? I am completely unqualified to be her personal maid. After a while, Wendy asked, What's wrong? Nina bowed her head and replied, I apologize. The young lady doesn't seem to have strong preferences for material things. Deline sat down and said, I thought you'd know as her personal maid. Nina says, I don't know what to say. Wendy speaks. Then I guess we can just give her a jewel mine. Or would a farm or a toy store be better? Deline added, but I wanted to give Shushu something she'd really like. Hearing this, Nina shouted loudly, I will definitely find out. I will go to the treasure chamber with her and see what she is most interested in. Fran thought, Nina seems unusually motivated today. The next day, the maids were showing Shuelina her toys. Fran looked at him, smiled, and said, This is truly gorgeous. Shuelina smiled and thought, This is how Papa sees me, isn't it? Nina asked, My lady, what do you think of this toy? It's a dollhouse, Shuelina replied. Huh? A dollhouse? It's very well made? Fran showed a sword and said, How about this? It lights up and sparkles, Shuelina replied. Yes, it seems interesting. It's pretty too. You two feel free to look around more if you'd like. I want to explore another room, Nina says. Pardon? Let's go together, my lady. She saw a very large door, walked toward it, and began to think. I've been curious about this place since earlier. Then she asked, What could be here? She opened the door, stepped inside, and asked, What's all this? At that moment, the cat jumped and landed in one spot, sitting down. Shuelina said, Meowie. You can't just jump around like that. When she moved forward, the cat was sitting on the gold. Fran saw this and said, The rumors were true. Shuelina asked, Hunt? What rumors? Fran replied, There's a long-standing rumor that a giant piece of gold is in the treasure chamber. Hearing this, Nina smiled and added, I heard that from the head maid too. There's supposedly a special enchanted lump of gold that His Grace can easily break off and use. Hearing this, Shuelina thought, I knew that House Bylot was wealthy, but I didn't expect this. Then Shuelina stepped forward. Nina think, what is she doing? When she jumped, the maids shouted loudly. She happily lay down on the gold. Shuelina speaks. When will we ever get the chance to lie on gold again? If you both want to join, come on in, Nina says. But, Fran jumped and speaks. Pardon me then, I feel like I've become rich. I could die now without any regrets. The smell of wealth is the best. This amount of gold is like a dream come true, Shuelina said. Nina, come join us. Nina coughed softly and says, Well, then I'll just slightly. Then she also came along, sat with them, and added, My lady, it seems like you like this the most among what you've seen in the chamber. Shuelina speaks. Well, when else could I have an experience like this? This feels like I'm on top of a giant pudding. Hearing this, Nina think, a giant pudding. Shuelina says, Meowie, let's go now. Meowie, come here. Fine, then live here, Meowie. I'm gonna leave. Then Shuelina stood up. At that moment Nina said, Meowie doesn't understand human speech. Shuelina added, She still won't follow me, huh? Oh well. Shuelina stepped forward. Nina asked, My lady. Where are you going? Shuelina replied, You two take care of Meowie. I'll just explore on my own since we're still in the manor. Then she began to think. Now that I think about it, I first saw that ghost boy by the portrait of the first ancestor, didn't I? Should I check it out? She asked. Hello, is anyone here? Then she speaks calmly. Maybe he won't appear today. She approaches the portrait, looks at it, and begins to think. Anyway, this man is really handsome. He feels mysterious, like he's not even human. But now that I have a closer look, he resembles that kid. Could that child also be a member of the Archduke's family? I didn't see him in one of the direct descendants' portraits. Then she speaks. He's holding a book. In the other portraits, the figures are painted only up to their chest, so their hands aren't visible. She notices that the portrait is pointing and saying something, and then turns to look in that direction. Then she said, "Huh!" His finger appears to be pointing at something. She goes toward it and says, "Is it this? Wait, isn't this? It sounds hollow. I'll just create a tiny hole with my spiritual power." A large, intricate magic circle forms above her, crackling with power as she looks up at it, the glowing symbols spinning faster as the surrounding air trembles with rising magical force. Suddenly, a magical hole appeared, and seeing it, she asked, "What is this?" Then Nina came forward, grabbed it, and said, "My lady," she says. "Nina, it's all right now." At that moment, there was a loud blast. She saw her and thought, "She's shaking." She protected me even though she was scared. Nina speaks, "My lady, that could have been very dangerous." "Are you all right?" she said. "Yes, I'm fine. I'm sorry." When she moved forward, there was a dragon sitting inside the hole. Nina asked, "My lady, what could this be?" She replied, "Is it a reptile? Those wings make it look so dangerous." Nina stepped forward and said, "My lady, please get back." She speaks, "Nina, it's all right. It's not going to hurt me." Then she thinks, "I don't know why, but I just have a feeling it won't. Anyway, those eyes look familiar." Nina said, "My lady, you should still run away for now." Fran says, "What should we do?" "We need to get his grace." She thinks again. "I feel like I've seen them somewhere before, but I can't remember." "Oh, I know. The color of its eyes is just like Papa's and my brother's. They also resemble the first ancestor." Speaking of which, the House Bylot is a prestigious family with over 1,000 years of history, right? So if the ancestor's portrait was pointing this way, that means it hadn't been moved for 1,000 years. Papa did mention that the first ancestor of House Bylot was a dragon, so then, she asked, "Are you a dragon?" "So you are." Then she lost in thought. "I feel like I understand what it's saying even though it's not speaking," she said. "Nina, Fran," they replied. "Yes, my lady." She speaks, "Let's go to Papa, and we need to take this little one with us." Then she takes him to the Archduke, seats him on the table, and said, "That's when this little one popped out, and I'm sorry for breaking the wall, Papa." Seeing the dragon, the Archduke thinks, "For some reason, it feels like he isn't pleased. I thought he'd be happy since it must be related to the first ancestor, and it's a dragon." Then he said, "Shoo, come here. Hurry." Shoo, listen carefully. You shouldn't touch creatures you know nothing about so easily. It's dangerous," she speaks, "but I do know what it is. It's a dragon. I'm sorry for bringing it here without permission, Papa, but I want to live with it. May I? Papa, please?" he added, looking so adorable. "Whenever you ask for something is going to be a big problem. I really wonder who you take after." Then he thinks, "I might have reminded Shoo of the Emperor. How careless of me," she said. "I take after you, Papa," he says. "Me? But you're so kind and sweet. There's no way you could possibly take after me." She smiled and speaks, "No. You're very kind, Papa. I mean, you brought me home as soon as you saw me. Even if the whole world says that they're devils, to me, they're angels who rescued me. If my family isn't kind, then who in this world is?" After a while he said, "Anyone who saw you back then would have done the same." Hearing this, she thought, "Do you really think so?" But no one was there to help Shuelina. Then he speaks, "For now, since you must have been quite startled today, leave the dragon here and go back with Fran to wash up and rest." She asked, "Why are Nina and the dragon staying?" He replied, "I need someone to wash the dragon and bring it to you, and I need to check its health. I'll summon a mage to do that." Hearing all this, the dragon, feeling sad, thinks, "Are you really leaving me behind? Don't go, Shoo." She was looking at it and thinking, "It doesn't look like it wants to be left here, but getting a health check is important." Then she said, "Papa, I'll see you at dinner later. Let's go, Fran and Meowie." At that moment, she smiled and thought, "I wonder what I should name it." Shuelina walks away. The dragon's massive eyes met the Archduke's gaze. The Archduke looked at it and began to think, "It's quite frustrating that it completely changed its mood as soon as Shoo left." At that moment, he asked, "Did you find anything out?" Nina replied, "Yes, Your Grace. Lady Shuelina likes sweet treats, just as Fran said." He speaks, "So we're back to that idea after everything?" Well, she also liked the toys and expensive items in the chamber, but she reacted mostly to food. It must be because she didn't eat well in the orphanage. Nina replied. Your Grace, it may not be my place to say this, but I believe that the best gift is something the recipient likes the most. So it shouldn't be about what I want to give her, but rather what she would want to get. Have I ever prepared a gift for someone in this way? Hearing this, he lost in thought. In this case, I must be certain about my gift. Everyone gathers for dinner, Wendy said. Shoo shoo, I heard about everything. Promise you won't do anything that dangerous again, she says. It wasn't really dangerous. Hearing this, Wendy startled and asked, What? Are you saying it wasn't dangerous when that wall fell down? Shoo shoo, she thinks. Well, only if you put it that way. It was really fine, then Deline said. But is that really a dragon? It looks so weak, Wendy says. Del, it was still talking. Archduke speaks calmly. It is indeed a dragon, Wendy asked. Really? But why is it so small? Archduke replied. Because it is a young dragon. According to what Cahill found in ancient texts, it will grow into the large dragon we usually think of. Then she asked, How will it grow? Archduke replied. It doesn't say how it matures, but since it doesn't consume food, the process must be unique. Hearing this, she smiled and says, I see. Oh right. I'd like to name it, Archduke added. I see you're very interested in dragons, shoo shoo. She smiled and said, It's just so cute. Then Wendy says, It could be dangerous, so it might be better to conduct isolated research on it. Deline added, That thing is cute? At that moment, she asked, What would be a good name? The dragon raised its massive claw, eyes glinting with concentration. A soft hum filled the air as magic began to weave around its claw like ribbons of light. Then the name appeared. Seeing this, she shocked and asked, Caden? Wow! Did that dragon just do that? Incredible, Wendy speaks. Father, are you sure that thing isn't dangerous at all? She said. So you're Caden? Then calling you Kai would be perfect. Shuelina was sleeping on her bed, the room wrapped in a gentle silence. Only a faint glow of light filtered. She slowly blinks her eyes, and the moment her lashes lift again, she suddenly notices a faint, mysterious figure in front of her. Then she speaks, still half asleep. You're that ghost from before. She blinked her eyes once more, and in front of her a dragon. She said, Oh, it's you, Kai. What's going on? It sounds noisy outside. What could it be? But I'm so sleepy right now. And when she wakes up the next morning, she says, It feels like I slept longer than usual. Then she rubbed her eyes and said, Meowie, Kai, is anyone around? Suddenly Nina came in and asked, Oh, my lady. You're awake already? She replied, Already. But it feels like I slept more than usual, Nina said. That's not true. She got out of bed and asked, Shall we go wash up first? Shuelina sat in front of the mirror while Nina was styling her hair, and then Nina asked, My lady, how about having your meal in the sunroom instead of the dining room today? Shuelina asked. Why? Did Papa and my brothers suggest that? Nina smiled and replied, No. It's just that His Grace and the young lords have already eaten. Hearing this, Shuelina added, Really? Do I need to eat in the sunroom when I'm eating alone? I could just eat in my drawing room then. Nina stepped back slightly, her movements hesitant, then she says, No. The sunlight is just so lovely today. And you should get more sunlight, my lady, Shuelina asked. Huh? Really? Then she thinks, What's wrong with Nina today? Nina smiled and asked, Shall we change your clothes now? After a while, she changed her clothes and stepped out of the room. Suddenly, Shuelina started walking toward the other side of the room. Nina immediately gestured with her hand and speaks in a soft, worried voice. My lady. How about we take this route today? Then Shuelina said. But this way is the fastest, isn't it? Nina says. Well, that's true, but wouldn't it be better for your health to walk a bit more? Let's do a little exercise before eating, my lady. Shuelina quickly ran over and said, I think I'll just go eat quickly. Nina shouted loudly, My lady. Then she thought, What has she been hiding all morning? It's so obvious that I have to check it out. Nina ran after her, calling out, My lady. From the kitchen, noises are heard. I don't want to do this anymore. What is this? Del, do it right. Hearing this, she thought, That sounds like my brothers. What are they doing in the kitchen? Then she opened the door, and standing before her were Archduke Wendy and Deline. Deline says, You can't boss me around just because you're older. Archduke asked, Why are you two always bickering? Then Wendy asked, Why are you getting mad at me when you're the one messing up? Deline said it in anger. I won't let this go, Wendy said. You're breaking my concentration, so be quiet. Deline said angrily. Take this. Then grabbed the pastry and threw it hard. It went flying door away, near where Shuelina was standing. Urdu, Archduke says. Shoo shoo, Deline speaks. Shoo shoo. I didn't throw that on purpose. It was an accident, Wendy asked. Wait, what's going on? Why is Shushu here? Nina replied. I'm sorry. I was careless. Seeing this, she thought, so the three of them were cooking just now. The piece of pastry that hit her face, she tasted it and said, Oh, this is delicious. Delian shocked and asked. Really? She asked. Did you make this, Del? She moved forward, saw the cake, and started thinking. Is this my birthday cake? She reads, Happy birthday. Were they preparing a party? But why today? Then she said, Papa. My birthday isn't today, though, Archduke added. Well, you said you arrived at the orphanage on January 1st, right? She replied. Yes, Archduke said. So then you must have a real birthday. So Papa did some research, Deline says. We wanted to celebrate the real day you were born, she asked. Then is today. Archduke picked it up and replied. Yes, Shushu. Today is your real birthday. Happy birthday, Shushu. Then he wiped the pastry off her face. At that moment, she lost in thought. Not even my biological family knows my actual birthday, let alone cares this much about me. I'm so happy. Then they all came out of the kitchen, and the Archduke said, Now let's all have a party. Suddenly all nobles speaks. Happy birthday, Lady Shuelina, Wendy says. Everyone here is a member of House Bylot, and they've all come to celebrate your birthday. Shoo shoo, she asked. All of them, Deline added. Shoo shoo. Don't just stand at the door. Let's go inside. You have to try the muffins that I baked. Hearing this, she thought, it's clear that this dessert was made by Papa and my brothers. Wendy thinks, what if they belittle us as nobles for cooking for ourselves? She speaks, these are. I was wondering why they cooked all of this themselves. But there was a reason, a noble lady said. How incredibly lovely you are. You may have joined the family later, but that makes you all the more precious. Hearing this, she thought, But nobles don't usually cook for themselves. I thought they'd consider it undignified, but I guess not. Even though it's my birthday party, I'm being presented to the world for the first time. And it seems like Papa has no intention of hiding his affection for me. My adoption was based on love, not personal gain, and he keeps expressing that. As long as I'm with my family, I can overcome anything in the future. Everyone's positive responses show that the love from my family is sincere. Shuelina smiled and said, Thank you, Marquis Atre, Lady Bilge, and Count Scherzel. Hearing this, Lady Bilge startled and asked, Oh my! Are you familiar with our names? A decision-making body exclusive to the Archduke's family, run by 3 chairs with equal status for fairness. Then she speaks, Of course. You are the chairs of the triumvirate. Since you are the pillars of our Archduke's family, I made sure to learn about you as soon as I joined. Another noble says, How lucky you are to introduce yourself to the adorable young lady of the Archduke. Such an intelligent daughter will surely be a great blessing to this house. Then Shuelina smiled and said, Baron Elga, Viscount Baldwin, Baroness and Baron Moore, thank you very much for coming. Another noble asked, Could it be that you've memorized the names of all the members of this household? Shuelina asked. Isn't it only natural, since I've joined it? Archduke says, See? My daughter is a genius. How remarkable! Not only is she cute and beautiful, but also intelligent. Truly, she is a blessing. Hearing this, Shuelina thought, I'm so embarrassed. I'd better escape. She grabbed Wendy by the coat and said, Wendy, I'll be over there having breakfast. Then he replies, Oh, you must be hungry, shoo shoo. Sure, you go eat. She ate quietly. When her stomach finally felt full, she set down her spoon with a small sigh of satisfaction. Wiping her mouth gently with a napkin, she looked up and thought, I feel like I can breathe now. Suddenly someone came and said, Excuse me, my lady. Hello, I am Bistien de Atre. Do you have a moment? Shuelina smiled and added, Nice to meet you. I'm Shuelina. What brings you here? Hearing this, Bistien thinks, So cute. Bistien says, I'm here to inform you that the adults said we could open our gifts together, my lady. Shuelina asked. Wow, is that so? Wendy and Del were staring at her with obvious irritation, their eyes narrowed. Then Wendy asked, What's going on here? Shuelina said. Windy, Del, you're here early. I was just about to open the gifts. Let's all go together, Deline asked. Shall we? Windy watched her as he walked away, then said, Lord Bistion, you should be careful with your eyes. When she opened the first gift, her eyes lit up. She looked at it with pure delight and said, Windy, it's so pretty. I'll use it for our tea party. Thank you so much. Windy sat down on th floor and asked, Is there anything you'd like to drink right now, Shushu? Shuelina replies, I'd like an iced cocoa. Cocoa has appeared all of a sudden. A child from a noble family looked at her in surprise and said, Wow! It's a magic tool. I've never seen one in real life before. Then a girl speaks up. I heard they're difficult to obtain, even with money, because they require magic stones, Windy said. Whenever you want to drink something, just tell the teapot. Shuelina asked. I can just say anything I want? Windy smiled and replied, Of course. I'll explain the details of how to use it later, Deline said with joy. I'm next, Shushu. Then he asked, Can you hold out your arms for a second? Shuelina replied, Like this? Shuelina held out her hands, and Deline gently slipped the bracelets onto her wrists. Then Deline took her hands. Shuelina said, These bracelets are so pretty, Del. Deline says, That's not all. If you do this. When she waved her hand, a cotton candy magically appeared in it. All the children looked at it in delight. Seeing this, she says, That must be a magic tool, too. It's so fascinating. I wonder what it tastes like. Let's all share it. A little girl stood there, frightened, lost, and thought, What should I do? All those gifts are amazing. What if mine offends Lady Shuelina, and I get shunned? Maybe I should just take it back now and pretend I didn't bring anything. She stepped forward and reached out her hand to take a gift. Then Shuelina noticed her. Her hand froze in place, and she began to tremble with fear. Then she thinks, Oh no! They'll think I was stealing. At that moment, Shuelina stepped forward. She stood there, frozen, lost in thought. It's over now. Shuelina gently took her hand and asked, Is there a problem? She didn't misunderstand. She even approached me first. Then she thinking, She's such a kind person, yet I couldn't properly celebrate her birthday. I'm such a fool. Suddenly, a boy came, and he had a gift in his hand. He said, Huh! What's this? Why is there a weed stuck on there? Don't tell me someone thought this was a suitable gift for Her Highness? What is that? Someone, yuck! Who really brought such a thing? It must be from Baron Hazel's daughter. Apparently, they're so poor they can barely hold on to the. Still, how could anyone bring something like that? Shuelina said. Please give it to me, he replied. Oh? Yes, of course. Then Shuelina saw it and said, Oh, the wrapping is adorned with pressed flowers. How pretty! I'll decorate my room with them. Then she opened it and says, It's a beautiful ring shaped like an evening primrose, and it fits perfectly on my finger. She saw her and thought. She recognized it. Then Shuelina reads, This gift is from Eve de Hazel? The little girl raised her hand and said, Yes, this is my gift. Shuelina grabbed her hand and speaks. I'm so delighted. I've been wanting a flower ring. How did you know I liked evening primroses? Eve added, That's just a coincidence. Shuelina says, You really wanted to celebrate my birthday and took my tastes into account, Lady Eve. Eve said, You can just call me Eve. Shuelina asked, Can I? I'd like to be friends with you, Eve replied. Of course, Shuelina added, In the future, let's write to each other and have tea parties together. Eve, Archduke came and asked, Sweetheart, are you having fun? Shuelina replied, Papa, yes. I've even made a friend. I was just about to open your gift. You came at the right time. Archduke placed something on the table. Shuelina asked, Oh? What is this? Archduke replied, Hold the handle and give it a turn. She spun the handle, and something came out of it. Then she said, Wow! Tiny ice cream came out. Archduke speaks. It's called bead ice cream. This device has a magic stone embedded in it, allowing for continuous use. The child then saw him shocked and said, I want to try it too. Me too. At that moment, Shuelina speaks. If everyone wants to have a go, be nice and line up so we can play together. Then she ran to them and said, Papa, Windy, Del, thank you so much for the birthday party. Your gifts are fascinating and delicious. Archduke added, Since you love desserts, we all work together to figure out how to make them more fun and easier to eat. Shuelina added, Wow, really? This is the happiest birthday of my life. Inside the Imperial Palace, Minister was standing in front of the Emperor. Emperor asked. Why in the world would we need to test her spiritual power? Then Minister asked. Are you referring to the Imperial family member who was recently found, Your Majesty? Emperor replied. Indeed, that child is the daughter born between the Empress and me. She is the legitimate princess, Minister said. Then, does that mean? Then he lost in thought. Is His Majesty saying that the death of the baby prince was a lie, and that it wasn't actually a prince, but, at that moment, he asked. But you clearly said it was a princess, didn't you? Emperor replied. We did announce that the child was a prince, but it was a princess, without a doubt. So make sure preparations for the test are discreet. Minister bowed and says, I will prepare it as quickly as possible. Then he walked away. Emperor got up and went to the window. He stood there for a moment, lost in thought. So you saw Shuelina yet came back empty-handed? If you cannot bring her back, I will go myself, father. He clenched her fist and thought again. Yes, it's natural for a family to be together. I have to get my daughter back from the Archduke as soon as possible. First, I should form a secret investigation team. This time, with caution, I will check everything myself. Inside the White Rose Manor, Shuelina asked. What would you like to drink, Wendy? Then Wendy asked. Could I ask for some black tea? Shuelina replied. Here you go. Wendy smiled and said, It somehow feels more fragrant since you gave it to me. Deline speaks. It's my turn next. Please give me some too. Shoo shoo. Suddenly Nina ran in and said, Goodness! My lady! Lady Shuelina, the Crown Prince is looking for you. Hearing this, Shuelina began to think. The Crown Prince? Did I hear correctly? Hearing this, Deline shocked and asked, What are you talking about? What business would he have with our Shoo shoo? Just say she's not here. At that moment, Wendy speaks. He came here specifically looking for Shoo shoo? No way. Don't let him in. Then Nina, tears streaming down her face, said, But, my lady, please help. For me. Hearing this, Shuelina thought again. As if we could send away the Crown Prince, Nina would just be accused of disrespecting the Imperial family. I need to figure something out. Deline placed a hand on his forehead and said, Oh my God, Shoo shoo, how can your forehead be so hot? Then Deline speaks. Shoo shoo, let's hurry back to your room. I'll carry you, Wendy said. Hey! Be careful, you might fall. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed through the hall. It was the Crown Prince. He stepped forward and asked, Is this really how you treat your guests? Seeing the Crown Prince, Shuelina gets lost in thought. Is that boy the Crown Prince? Did he always look like that? Something about his eyes feels different. Why does the description of his features come to mind so vividly? The Crown Prince I knew always glared at Shuelina whenever they meet. I distinctly remember his scowl as he looked down on her, saying she couldn't possibly be his sister. Crown Prince stepped forward and said, So it's you. My name is Lucas Rafi's Evening de Amnesia. I am the Crown Prince of this empire. I really wanted to meet you, my little sister. At that moment, Wendy said, Calling the Archduke's daughter your sister is quite a stretch. Deline says, Excuse me, but she is my sister. Hearing this, a maid whispered into Fran's ear, Isn't Lady Shuelina from an orphanage? Could she actually be the real princess? The Crown Prince came here in person. Shuelina was listening to everything, and then she started thinking. Keeping the maids quiet will be quite the challenge, but for now. Then she bowed respectfully and said, I greet the Crown Prince of our empire. I am Shuelina de Bylot. Hearing this, Crown Prince shocked and speaks. Why are you speaking so formally? And you're not a Bylot but an Amnesia. Since my father couldn't bring you back, I came in his place. Come with me to the Imperial Palace. Shuelina says, You and I are not family, Your Highness. I only have 2 brothers. Isn't that right? Wendy, Del? Hearing this, they both smiled and said, Certainly. Then Wendy added, It seems you are mistaken, Your Highness. Shoo shoo is my sister. Please search elsewhere. Shuelina began to think. Even if he makes that face, I have no desire to befriend the person responsible for Shuelina's death. Then Prince shouted loudly, That can't be. You're the last gift left by Mother. I've been waiting for the day we'd find you. Wendy asked calmly, Are you referring to the late Empress? Prince replied, That's right. Wendy asked again, How could a deceased person give birth to my sister? Then he thinks, I already know she's true identity, but I can't give the Imperial family such an advantage. Prince said, The child born before she passed. Wendy added, Everyone knows the baby prince passed away years ago. Prince speaks calmly, It wasn't a prince but a princess. I can tell by the traces of spiritual power. Shuelina is standing nearby, listening to everything, and then suddenly she starts thinking. Traces of spiritual power? I've never heard that before. Then she asked, are traces of spiritual power visible? Prince smiled and replied, yes. Anyone of Imperial blood can confirm it. You recently used your spiritual energy, didn't you? It's faintly present. Hearing this, at that moment she began to think. So anyone in the Imperial family can tell? Then, could Azella also feel my spiritual energy? Does that mean she knows everything I do, wherever I go? She bit her lip. Then she asked, Your Highness, do you have any evidence that I am the princess? Yes, evidence. The words that drove Shuelina into a corner in the past. Any evidence? He always demanded evidence that she was the true princess. Prince recalls that Emperor said, I have had enough of your lies. Shuelina lost in thought again. I thought it would be satisfying to turn the tables on him. But I feel nothing at all. It must mean that my blood relatives aren't important to me. My real family consists of Papa and my brothers. But why do I feel this way? Is it because the way he looks at me is different from what I remember? After a while, Windy said, In that case, Your Highness, I'm afraid the person you are looking for is not in our manor. Then Crown Prince asked, Does the Archduke's household make a habit of sending guests off, without even offering them a seat? Shuelina thinks, You're the one who showed up uninvited. After a while, Crown Prince smiled and asked again, Are guests not supposed to be received without prior notice today, Lord Windert? Windy replied calmly, I apologize. Our gardens are lovely. Let me give you a tour. Prince smiled and said, All right. But I'd prefer my guide to be Lady Shuelina. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, as it really helps our channel grow. Thanks.